The time has come to unite the world under one nation. An 8-bit nation. A neon green nation. The CoCo Nation. The CoCo Nation Show, coming soon.
The CoCo Nation Show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCo Nation Show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCo Nation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCo Nation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Hello, everybody, to the CoCo Nation, episode 339. Give me a second while I recover from the pain of hitting my knee on the desk. Yow.
Ouch.
Oh, it's a sharp corner, too. Okay, let's see. We've got a screen full today. Let's see who we got with us. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, we have Marco.
I'm the upper left again? Yay.
You are. And next over, yours truly, the monkey that pushes the buttons. Next over, we have Ken Waters.
Howdy, howdy.
And Frederic, micro hobbyist.
Hello.
And next over, we got Rick Euland.
Greetings, all.
And L Curtis Boyle.
He's never sounded better.
That's right.
Oh, whoops, sorry. Welcome to the show, everyone. I see that Rick and I are retro rewind twins today.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Next over, we got David Ladd.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I can't wait to see what we got in store for today, and I hope you're just as excited. And now let's see if Nick is just as excited, too.
All right. How about it, Nick?
G'day.
Sounds like it.
And we have some crickets.
Good night,
You have a cricket sound for him?
All right. Next row, we got Redbeard.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
And Coconut Bob.
Howdy, folks. Welcome.
And Kevin Holloway. How you doing?
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. See, in the chat, we've got Julian Brown, Daddy Burrito, Wayne, Tom Eric
Wayne Campbell.
Gunderson. Okay. If I can't do it right, I try not to do it at all.
No,
Really? I thought you always used to. That was part of the fun.
So, let's see. Next up, Mark Siegel, Spenny 108, Brian Walsh, Jim Rye, and Mikey. 8 bits in the basement. There's Tom again. Retro ENG.
Engineer, I'm guessing.
I think so. Daddy Burrito again. Now I can't remember who I've even mentioned before. I think that's everybody at least once. So active chat today and full panel. All right, let's see. First up on my list, Frederic. I think you had something to announce or say.
Well, yes, I'm going to
Floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to have a live stream next Wednesday, the 22nd, about a new processor. Not a new processor. Come on, we all know the processors I'm working on these days are fairly old, but it's going to be 8-bit CPU. In my community that I'm running on right now, it's a 6502 Z80, and there's a few mystery chips that I'm going to introduce and join in at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, the 22nd. That's it.
Okay, cool.
That's on YouTube or Twitch, or it's on YouTube. I'll also restream on Twitter and Facebook, but mainly YouTube. Okay, what's your YouTube channel so people know where to find it? Yeah, you just have to type in @microhobbyist. Put the @ symbol first, otherwise you'll end up at some sort of microbiologist. You don't want that. No.
All right, I have another name on the list that now I can't even read. So, was there someone else that needed any project updates or announcements?
Did you have a little one, Rick, you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I have a couple of things going on, so I'll bring it up. This works. The Ethernet card with the boot ROM.
Just hold on a sec, Rick. We want to make sure people can see it.
Oh, okay.
All right, go ahead, Rick.
So
Show us.
after much struggling, the little Ethernet card with the boot ROM is working. So we will have a new
Cool.
version of CoCo for Christmas that has no serial port, but could boot on its own. Provided
Does
people
that
do
mean you
something
can add
about that.
the little mouse controller now?
Oh yeah, now we got to move on to the next version because this version ships. And kind of a fun thing, I've been working on, in upcoming shows and so forth. So I've been digging out the 80s and recreating it. So I had this wonderful expanse of CoCo out here, and coming soon, the hard drive to go with it. So I'll be able to do some demos of period correct stuff and period correct timing on period correct hardware and all of that kind of stuff. So that's fun. And if you were wondering, while going through all this stuff, I found a lot of neat things. Here's the OS9 V3 in the form of 5 floppies marked commands and about 8 floppies marked work stuff and a couple of boot disks. So that's going to be fun to go through.
I'd like to see if we can get the Burke and Burke to coexist with the SDC.
That might be fun. I haven't gone that far yet. I'm thinking, well, we'll get there.
I've tried it, but I seem to struggle actually trying to change drivers and stuff in the boot file. They never seem to work afterwards.
Well, and my difficulty is going to be, at my level of expertise, I have to boot from floppy, then switch to the SDC, and then switch to the Burke and Burke, and then we've got the SDC. How much am I going to cram in this poor little multi-pack here? And I've got to have my network card because, that's my
You only got one slot free.
Right.
You're going to need the David Ladd 16 slot solution, I think.
Possibly say plug a multi-pack in the front of that one and hang. Okay.
Or you could do like, Daniel O'Connor did, just plug a multi-pack into a multi-pack.
Yeah.
Only that would legitimately work.
Right.
Isn't it like plugging a power bar into itself?
Much worse. Much worse.
Or a power bar into another power bar that's also plugged in the wall or something like that. Yeah. It's crossing streams, basically.
And I did answer one final question while I was digging through all of my stuff. Is there an equivalent to the GFL football ROM pack that people used to strip apart to put other ROMs in? And there is. And that would be this.
Can't see it.
Yeah, coming over there.
Oh, I'm on unmaximized. Sorry.
Yep, there you go.
So here we go. This is that equivalent.
Art Deli.
At one time, I had about 700 of these things through Connect. So yeah, this is the equivalent of the GFL football. That's more valuable as its enclosure.
As a blank floppy.
Yes. Oh, and it even has the handy run boot stamped right on it. So when you relabel it, people will know what to do with it.
Now you got to replace those old stamping type the word DOS.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, this is what we're all working on. I've sort of got my CoCo online for various things we're going to be doing. And
yeah, this is a bit of a sneak preview, actually, because Rick and I will be hosting a CoCoTECH on Tuesday, going through the history of gshell, plus some of the new programming features for it, and how to program for the windowing environment that gshell itself runs under. So join us 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, live on CoCoTECH.
Exactly. You know why I've been digging out all these floppy disks and stuff.
On this same channel right here.
Yep.
Okay. And so, Curtis, you had some other announcements.
Yeah, I got a couple things. So I'm going to cover a couple of, this is kind of rehashing stuff we've been watching the show regularly, but anybody who's missed the last few episodes, we've got a couple of trade shows coming up. We also have a couple of interviews coming up as well. So I'll do the trade shows first. Okay, you guys are seeing VCF South California. Okay, so that was the first one coming up. That's February 17th to 18th in Orange, California at the Hotel Fair Event Center. And the address you can get off the website here. All these links will be in the show notes too on Discord if you want to grab them. So that's the first one coming up. I did hear, I didn't get any details yet, but the one that had come back from the dead after 10 years in Texas is happening next year. They're already starting to book stuff. And the organizers have actually joined the Tandy Discord and are going to be keeping people up to date. So that one is going on again. They're going to try to get a lot of the Tandy guys. Of course, a lot of them live, in the Fort Worth area. So I'm hoping Mark C will be there again, and maybe some of the other people that couldn't make it this last time. So that should be a good one too. So once I get full details on that, I'll add that to the list as well. After that, we got the 32nd annual Last Chicago CoCo Fest, and that's at the Holiday Inn in Sweet Chicago Carol Stream in Illinois. That's going to be a fun one. Hope to see a lot of you there. That's always a blast. And we'll have some new products and stuff to show off there too. And the last one is Boatfest, the 3rd annual Boatfest in a venue that's just literally down the street from where it was last year. That's happening in June 14th to 16th at the Social Event Space. That's the name of the venue itself. It's not just a generic name. And that's a general retro gaming and for all cross platforms, both home computer and consoles. Also, they'll be doing hardware repairs and upgrades and stuff as well. Frank from Retro Rewind's a sponsor of that one, as he's a sponsor of our show. I was talking, I can't remember who I was talking to, but last year I took like some 3D glasses just to show Steve Bjork's Warp Fighter 3D, just show people what a 3D game with glasses look like. And I can't haul a CoCo because I'm usually flying to Toronto to get down there, so there's not too much I can haul on the plane. But somebody mentioned something I totally forgot about. There's a couple of Sega Master light gun games that Diecom put out, and that just needs the Sega Master light gun and a little adapter interface that Dave Dyes and Diecom made. And I could bring that, and as long as somebody has an RGB monitor of some sort to set up on there, or even a composite if we have to. But there's a couple games, Iron Forest and Medieval Madness, and we can actually show some of the laser gun games on the CoCo 3 specifically. So I think I might bring that down to the show this year. Anything you're planning on bringing, Ken? Or
I have no idea yet. I'm gonna figure out what's going on for that spring.
Okay,
that's so far ahead. I can't plan that far in the future.
Okay, so anyway, that's the upcoming events. And like I said, I'll add the Texas VCF as soon as I get the full details. But it has been basically decided there is going to be one, which is good. Okay, switch over to. Okay, you should be seeing the newsletter on there, I'm hoping.
Yep.
Okay, so as far as interviews go, we've now got 2 officially booked. The first one we've talked about for a while here. It's next week. And that's both Joe Ahern, I'll pronounce that correctly, David McNally, who created this newsletter called Tier City Computing. And the last year was renamed to Color Computing, which is basically what it covered the whole time anyway. This is a newsletter / magazine they ran from 1987 till 1991-ish, 2-ish. And they started this as early high school kids, and they stopped it once they got to college and figured out there's way too much time you have to do for studying and stuff, so they didn't have time to do it anymore. And the entire run of that series, 5 years of newsletters / magazines, is all on the archive. This week, I decided to pick the first one from the second volume, so 1988. If you remember, the first one was all like taped together, hand-drawn and colored stuff here. So here they're trying to look a little bit more professional. They're just high school students having fun with this thing, and they kept it going for quite a while. They do their own programming too. Some of the games and stuff they write here, they wrote themselves. Actually, most of them. And they also eventually got some pretty big name authors like Bob Vanderpool and others, writing articles for them. So that was really cool. It's the same people that wrote for Rainbow. So definitely go check these out. So if you have any questions for them, you may be able to go through there and maybe get kind of a good feel what they're like as when they were writing these as teenagers. And bring the questions to the show next week. So they'll be our guests next week. And then 2 weeks after that, we just confirmed we have to do a few, special checks on Zoom calls and stuff. And I also have to find out if he wants to be on the beginning of the show or the middle. I think he kind of hinted at the beginning. So, but in 2 weeks' time, on December the 9th, we're going to have Mike Snyder. For those of you who don't recognize the name, he's got a couple games that I've already got on my website, and there's a fair bit more I have to still put on. But basically, he did a lot of CoCo 1 and 2 and CoCo 3 games between 87 and 91 for T&D Software, the tape magazine. And he's also got his own retro website you can see here, which kind of gives a little bit of his history. And you can see on the sidebar on the far left, he's got screenshots just of random ones. And you can, if you refresh the page, it picks different random ones because he wrote a lot of games. And you can see a complete list here. If you scroll down, he's got 10 disk images you can download. And here's like disk 1, here's disk 2, here's disk 3. That's all the stuff he crammed out in T&D over the span of 4 or 5 years. So there's a lot of stuff there. He's also got stuff like his old text adventure maps. So he's planning those. You can take a look at those. So he's going to be our guest on December the 9th. And I'm looking forward to that because I've played a few of these and I've got a few of them on my website already, but there's quite a few I haven't got to yet. There's a few others I've played but haven't got on my website yet as well. But if you're a gamer, and you did write some other stuff too, but if you're a gamer, you'll definitely want to check that out. And almost all of these are in basic, so you can kind of get a feel what super extended basic can do. So that's December 9th. And I'm still trying to firm away a couple of other ones too. Once I get full details or they agree to do it, then we'll announce those as well. Now, I wanted to ask the panel here. We were just talking in the pre-show here about the Thanksgiving and how to work around that in the schedule. I'm wondering here, when should we have a cutoff of maybe not populating December too much because people are getting busy with Christmas and stuff, and I don't want to like tie up either our guests or the panel doing super long shows right before Christmas. So I'm just wondering, after the December 9th, should I wait till January to book other interviews? What do you guys think?
I'm kind of leaning that way with CoCoTECH. I'll see what people think, but yeah, I'm kind of thinking it'll probably be
because you got a December 1 book too, don't you?
Yeah, December 5th. And that's the last one I have so far.
Okay.
Kind of makes sense. A couple weeks off for Christmas and
if we do have some shows during that time, they'll just be the regular, no extra guests and stuff, so they'll be shorter. Hopefully.
Yeah, because then we'll have like a month, and then we'll be on the other side of the holidays.
Yeah, and we've already got two segments, like extra stuff on December here, the 5th and the 9th already too. So I mean, the beginning of December is where we already have extra stuff booked. But after that, I figure if we wait till January, that's probably the best for everyone. Now, last year we decided to actually take some days off even from the regular show. Are we doing that again this year?
Well, Christmas is on a Monday this year.
How crappy is it?
So Christmas Eve would be on a Sunday, and our show would be right before that. So Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I don't really see any interference.
I'd rather have that day off myself personally, but I'll leave it up to you guys.
And then come back for let's see, January.
So we have 21, 28, and then 4. What are we skipping that range? Is I guess the question, right? Or no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. 23, 30, and 6. So
yes, January 6th is the first show after New Year's.
So 23, nothing.
The 30th will probably be okay. We did one last year on the.
Yeah, New Year's to me isn't as much of a holiday. I mean, it's just people are hungover is the only thing you got to worry about. But
right.
but literally 2 days before Christmas, especially if people are traveling to go visit relatives and stuff. Yeah, I would say that wouldn't. If we're going to take one off, that'd be the one I'd pick.
For the 23rd.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
you guys in agreement?
Pick up again on the 30th.
Yep.
Okay, let's do that.
All right.
So that's the official announcement, folks. We're going to take the 23rd off.
Hey, we do everything live.
All right. Interactive and all of that. Yeah.
So no show on 12/23. Okay.
And not booking any extra CoCoTECHs or extra guest interviews during past the 9th, I guess. Until January.
Yeah, until January 6th or something. So
unless a really special guest comes up and that's the only day they can do it, then I might, but
sure. Speaking of the holidays, so this Thursday, upcoming Thursday, being US Thanksgiving, we decided we were going to be skipping the Game On Challenge.
Yes. I was going to announce that during the Game On Challenge segment.
Okay.
I'll do it now.
You can do that again.
On Thursday, we're not having a live Game On Challenge because it's apparently a Thursday. So I guess we're just not having it because it's Thursday.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, it's Canadian Thursday. That's what that day is called.
Exactly.
Hey, Canada
now
has
I will
Thanksgiving
mention,
too.
for us Canadians and Australians and the people from elsewhere, if you guys want to come in the Discord and just have an impromptu Game On challenge just between ourselves, just not broadcasted, I think we could probably still pull that off.
And yes, Canada does have a Thanksgiving during harvest, which is a good time to have Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because the way we did it, like you Americans, we'd be piled under snow.
Yeah.
Right.
We call it snowsgiving. Or snow piercing or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, that's the second interview. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that, especially you game players, because I'd like you guys to try out some of the stuff. You can download all the stuff off the site. It's also all uploaded to the archive. There's some pretty good platformers and stuff in there. I know I've played a few of those. There's a few games that even he himself says, I wish I had done that better, but he was a high school student and college student during the time he wrote all those, kind of similar to our guest next week.
Cool.
Tell you what, programming note. Bob.
Yes.
You've got a fuzzy background on, so we can't see your board.
It's
All we
a
see is
bandwidth
this-
thing.
Blurry
Oh,
mess.
all we see is your pen.
Well, let me fix that.
All right, moving on. Were there any other announcements, or was that it?
Yeah, me.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
There's
Mark.
some CoCoTECH stuff for Mark to talk about.
Yep.
Including, I think, a coverage of last week's show, and also if you can talk to Bob, because he was kind of a guest on our regular show too, and he's kind of a CoCoTEChy type person.
Yeah, a lot of stuff here to unpack for CoCoTECH stuff, including a little extra bonus. Okay, so I just posted Mike Snyder's website. Anybody want to go check it out? Okay, and he's the guy we're going to have on December 9th, I think it is.
Correct.
Okay, so CoCoTECH. This last week was Drivewire with Mikey Furman. Thank you, Mikey, and Boise Pete, and learned some really good history. I knew that the Drivewire, obviously, if there's Drivewire 3 and 4, there must have been a 1 and 2. And yeah, it's interesting to find out that they were pretty limited in capability, but they served Boise's purpose because he was the one that wrote it. But it's amazing what it's morphed into, of course, and all the variations of Drivewire out there and all the things that are done with it now. We'll probably have a follow-up one just because there's some things we didn't get to, like Drive Wirelessly from our own Sloopy Malibu and some other variations of Drivewire. And there's a couple of things too, but I didn't write those down. But anyway, they'll be enough.
There's some Dragon-related Drivewire stuff. I know one of
Yes,
the.
there is. That would be very cool to do too. And Dragon stuff, another cool thing. So coming up this coming Tuesday, I know we're stuck on Tuesdays at the moment, just it's a handy time for us here when we have day jobs. But I'm open to other times, probably a morning on a Saturday or Sunday at some point. And I'll talk about that shortly. But coming up this Tuesday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is UTC -5. We're going to do a deep dive with Curtis Boyle and Rick Euland here on gshell, updates and additions in EOU specifically, and basically development over the last 35 years. So that should be really interesting for people interested in OS 9 and the graphic environment that's on it. I'm going to be paying attention, of course, so I'll be there. I have one other scheduled until we get to December, and that'll be on basically Grease Weasel and other imaging platforms and floppies in general. So I'll have Mr. Ladd with me. Thank you, David, and Mikey Furman again, and Paul Piscarelli should be along with his, I think it's called SCP, which is another imaging product. And I understand somebody has a cat weasel. I don't remember who it was exactly, but that would be also kind of fall in there too. Sounds like we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. And so we might have to stretch out to another show at some point, or maybe stretch this one a little more than the 2 hours. We've been doing good to keep it down to 2 hours. Oh, by the way, last week's CoCoTECH is like 224 views so far on YouTube. So seems to be getting some attention. That's cool. Other CoCoTECH stuff. I've got some other stuff kind of lined up in the wings. I've been talking with Julian Brown and Kieran Sixie about the Dragon repo boards that they're working on. I'll probably get them and Pedro Pena, Rocky Hill, who did the CoCo 2 and CoCo 3 repo boards, repro boards.
Like you can see one on the screen right now that Bob Emery's working on.
Yeah, he's working on a CoCo 3 one in white. Basically, get all them on to talk about, reverse engineering, Dragon 32, Dragon 64, CoCo 2, CoCo 3, and making a replacement motherboard. So when you have that broken CoCo where all the chips still work, or a Dragon, you can maybe make it work again. So that should be really good. No time set yet, but sometime probably in the next couple months. That one will probably be an early Saturday morning, or for me early, since I'm UTC -8. So that would be like for 5, 6, or 7 a.m. for me, which would be about 3 in the afternoon for England. What was that, Mark B?
Just saying, when you working on your CoCo and you lift all the traces, there's a replacement board.
Yep, there's replacement
Exactly.
board besides blue wire.
Yeah, which is quite common on the CoCo 3 motherboards.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's see. I've had a couple other ideas batted around for CoCoTECH. Oh yeah, Sloopy is collecting a few inexpensive oscilloscopes, and he'll be giving a lesson on their use and how to do troubleshooting with CoCos and other sorts of who knows what sort of equipment he might drag out of the back room. And you might see a Commodore even. knowing Sloopy or an Atari. That'll be good. We'll shove that in there somewhere since I'm not planning on doing these kind of in-depth CoCoTECHs every week. Oh, and then I guess the bonus thing, I think that covers most of it. The bonus thing is that the Glenside Computer Club, the host of the CoCo Fest, and coming up this May 4th and 5th, or 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Chicago, we're interested in doing like a virtual fest in like January or so. Basically, the 2021 that we did when we all couldn't meet in real life seemed to went really well. And so they're kind of interested in doing that again. And so since we have a network structure here and followers and interested in this particular computer line, they kind of was trying to team up with us to kind of do some sort of event. So we have basically so far just called a stupid virtual event for color computers and dragons. I think we'll probably do it the last weekend in January, probably again early on a morning for me. So it'll be midday for England and late morning for most of the people here on the Western Hemisphere. Try to schedule people that wouldn't be able to make it to a CoCo Fest to be able to present something. So it'll be kind of cool. Be like the virtual one we did in 2020. I'll find a link and we'll post that so you can go back and look at it, see what it is. By the way, that was the longest CoCo talk we ever did.
Over 6 hours.
Yep, 6 hours.
Wow.
Just kept happening. Stuff kept happening.
And also one of our most popular episodes.
Yes, one of the most popular. What was it? 600 views, 700 views, something like that. I didn't look it up, but yeah, it was a muchly needed thing. Probably our second most popular one was the Dragon one we did. What was it last?
Which is also 6 hours.
Yeah.
So the longer the show we do, the more popular we are. We should just run this 24 hours like CNN.
Yep, exactly. We'll get there. So anyway, there will be a virtual fest. I will post date time thing here shortly on probably Facebook, since it's a good place to announce that, and collect people who might be interested in presenting something and setting up a little schedule so we can schedule people in. So it's going to be fun. Amazing amount of CoCo and Dragon stuff to talk about every week, and this sort of stuff.
I will mention that Rick Yulin, myself, and Wayne Campbell are planning some other OS9 and Basic 9 in particular ones, but we'll probably wait for the new year before we start scheduling those.
No problem. So plenty to talk about. And we got lots of bandwidth here to use. So anyway, that's where CoCoTECH is at the moment. This coming Tuesday, and then 2 weeks after that. And don't.
So
the episode. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, hey, Mark, I just wanted to say thanks for all the work you're doing and spearheading CoCoTECH, and it's sure coming together nice. You've done a great job, so kudos, man.
I've been wanting to do this for a few years now, and it's like Stevie Stroh talked about this 4 years ago or whatever. It'd be nice to kind of stretch out a little bit and add some more content to. We have a channel, we have a network we're doing, and so we've got people and infrastructure and knowledge. Why not leverage it a little more? And so, I kind of thought, I think I like the tech stuff. So I'd like to head up a tech show and get better at streaming stuff. And I'm still still stumbling along, but soon I'll be up to the big leagues and I can get moved up and help Mark B out. But anyway, thank you. It's just been interesting so far. I mean, we've only done a couple of these, but been fascinating. And, anyway, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm going to help pushing this along and helping other people.
I was going to ask too, because now that we're getting a fairly wide variety of shows, we've got the Game On Challenge show, we've got the main show, we've got CoCoTECH show, we might have some others in the future too. Is anybody going to start making playlists that people can kind of narrow down if there's certain looking for, say, CoCoTECH stuff that they can not have to hunt through every single show for a month or so?
Yeah, we should probably create some playlists and start assigning stuff. So
we do have some playlists in the YouTube channel built, and I think on the CoCo Nation Network website, I'm going to change that to not maybe show them all. We'll have it kind of grouped differently. I think it's getting big enough. We need to do that. So
yeah, I was trying to find like a previous interview, and I was having trouble trying to find the darn thing.
You did scare me, Curtis. Now that you're talking CNN, we have the CoCo News Network. I'm scared.
Or it could be like ESPN and have like 8 different channels of 24-hour content.
There you go.
As we bring people on board and get them trained, we can do that.
We're going there. We got 3 now. So
there's the gaming channel running 24 hours a day. There's the news channel running 24 hours a day. There's the hardware channel 24, software. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing all that work. I do like the playlist thing because I think that really helps. So you can have like an interviews playlist, like Steve had on the original Coco Talk, and then having CoCoTECH as its own channel, so that people, if they were just looking for the tech stuff, they can just go there rather than hear me blather.
Yeah, it's possible. That makes it a little harder for people to find too. It's nice when we have just one channel, everything gets piled onto. It'll probably, if we keep going, it might have to be.
Well, they'll be, from what Terry's describing, those will be side by side. Like, here's the CoCoTECH stuff, here's the regular show stuff. So if you can bounce back and forth fairly easily. But just if you're trying to narrow the search down, I think it does get a bit difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it does need to be a little bit easier to find and sort out. So
yeah. Discoverability. That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's where the playlist will come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you don't use a playlist, you just use like the main videos list, it'll be everything in order just like it is now. We need something to help for the people that are trying to find by the show title. Or if people just want to watch the Game On Challenge because they like Ken so darn much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they just need to start episode number 1 and go through all 339 episodes.
And they'll know exactly where they're at.
That's right.
And don't forget all the non-numbered interview episodes we did before that.
Of course, the nice thing is you can watch it at 1.25 or even 1.5 speed.
Yeah, my favorite way of watching out the old episodes with me on it is usually hitting the mute button, and then it's not too bad.
Hey, David Ladd. Ken Reichard recommended having David Ladd do a bumper that says, "This is CNN."
CoCo News Network.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Watch us get sued.
Copyright strikes.
Yeah.
Oh, you just call it the CoCo News Network and then put CNN in parentheses, and it's like there's no confusion. Just they happen to use
CNN.
Yeah.
Just add an extra C.
No, we're already CCN, right?
Now, I did want to ask Bob, of course, last week while we were on the show, he started before and he finished after the show started and ended. He's been doing a live stream of his working on the Athena, the CoCo 3 duplicate motherboard by Pedro. First of all, Bob, I wanted to ask how's that going? Because obviously you're working on it again here. Are you live streaming it again? Your update
not
today?
Live streaming at the moment. I just wasn't quite prepared for all of that. But yeah, just getting all the chips in and hopefully gonna do a quick smoke test here shortly.
Okay, because I wanted to ask Mark Oberholzer if we have side streams done by some of the community, and it's something that might be of interest to the general viewers of CoCo Nation. Do we want to include links to their videos in some way, shape, or form, or even as part of CoCoTECH if it's technically related or whatever?
Yeah,
just to help spread the word.
Yeah, well, I mean, always.
Also, on a related note, I didn't even think about it last week, but the CoCo Nation's audio was included in my entire live stream. So
oh, copyright strike for you then. Holy cow. No, I'm just kidding.
Our lawyers on that right away.
No, but one of the nice things about playlists is that you can include external channel videos in playlists. So yeah, that wouldn't be a problem to add, if someone wants to create their own episode on their channel and just link it in or anything. It's
because I was thinking like Ken Waters, his channel is not exclusively CoCo. He covers a lot of different platforms, but he does do a fair bit of CoCo material, and it's a wide variety, like playing games and comparing them with other platforms or hardware upgrades or whatever. And that would be perfect to have in a playlist on the CoCo Nation show, as I don't know what you want to call it, friends of the channel or whatever, but basically you could have a lot of decent content there, and it'll also help drive numbers for them as well and get them more well known.
I agree.
Inside and outside of the CoCo community, and it might help people watching Ken's stuff to get back to us too. So, and anybody else who does any CoCo related content.
Yes.
Right.
Just as long as you don't add my one video, you'll be fine.
Oh, that's mandatory. What are you talking
about? That's going up definite. That is actually
the headline.
We're going to be starting one of the Game On challenges eventually.
The new CoCo Nation introduction video is not going to have Bruce talking about the CoCo Nation show. We're just going to be playing David's thing on loop.
Oh Lord.
So the board is complete.
Zoom that up there, Mark. Let's take a look at Bob's handiwork.
Are we ready for the smoke test?
That looks good, I have to say.
Seems remarkably similar to a CoCo, doesn't it?
Uh-oh, I think it might be ready for a smoke test. He's about to hook up the transformer.
I'm gonna
Yep.
slide the rest of the panel off to the side here so we got full view of the board.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's a
So live, we're
transformer
going
and
to
not
see if
an
this
Autobot?
works. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
Stupid joke. Go ahead.
I was just going to say live, we're going to see if this works or if we're going to see magic smoke.
Either way, it'll be entertaining.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you take quick bets on the panel here, is it going to work or is it going to smoke?
I have
Well,
faith in.
That's gonna
No
work.
smoke, no
Well,
work.
considering that one chip is in backwards.
Which one?
No smoke and no work. That's an interesting one.
No, the hope it don't smoke because it's got an actual gimme in it. We don't want that going poof.
No.
Well, I sure wasn't going to put the Gimme X in here for the first test.
No, that's even
Right.
rare. Although those following the Gimme X discussion channel on Discord, there it looks like AC's 8-bit zone is actually might try to make his own Gimme X style thing and duplicating some of the functionality of Gimme X since
A New Hope.
nothing has been happening with the Gimme X for a couple of years now. Though Frank of Retro Rewind has said that if he gets permission to do so, he's willing to manufacture it himself.
Switch over to AV here. I will switch my camera so you can see the monitor.
Yes, yes.
You got 128K in there right now, it looks like.
Yeah.
Place your bets. Place your bets.
Okay, come on. There we go.
All bets are closed. All bets are closed.
All right. Anybody got
What do you think, Bob? Before you plug it in and turn it on here, what
Um,
do you think? Is it going to work? Is it going to not work but not smoke, or is it going to smoke?
I think it's gonna, I don't know. I think knowing my luck, it's not gonna work, but maybe nothing will blow up.
He's just simmering with confidence there, folks.
See
There's
what
also a
happens.
couple of resistors I saw in there that are in backwards.
Oh, all the resistors are backwards,
Oh yeah, that's not going to work. They're backwards.
but they're inconsistently backwards. So
Oh, okay.
And us software
Alright.
guys are going, I don't get it.
Now the shields are coming out.
all right. So yeah,
There you
high
go.
protection. It's all
Fire
about
extinguisher
safety.
handy.
There's only a couple caps on the board.
Okay, well, the relay clicked.
Right.
No video.
So you're on the
Input.
right
Input on the.
Nothing is smoking or shaking.
You got the right composite.
And does the
video.
relay click if you turn it off and on again, or is that a fluke?
Yeah.
Reset button makes the relay click.
Okay, so the ROMs are running then, by the sounds of it.
Just the input on the TV.
Yeah.
My super cheap logic probe here. I'm gonna look for.
So who is it that said that it would not work, but it would not cause smoke? Was that Frederic?
Me, yeah.
Yeah, you won. You won the pool. I have no idea what the prize is, but you won the pool.
Okay. So let's see.
Clucky.
Yeah.
I've
live
got a
and stuff.
clock. Are you able to see the lights lighting here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Before you go any further, Bob, not being a hardware guy, this might be a stupid question, but is it possible just the screen output on the composite's not working and it would work, say, if you plugged in RGB or something?
That's a possibility. What I'm seeing on the composite test pad here is just a solid high. So actually, I guess I could put it on the scope too.
A lot of things have to be working. I mean, the gimme would have to be working, the ROM's working, CPU working for it to click the relay.
Yeah.
Does
I mean, you can type in a keyboard and blindly type motor on off and just make sure the ROMs are fully functioning.
Maybe there's a bridged solder joint.
Right, solder block bridge.
Other than the absence of a keyboard, you could do that, I guess.
I don't know where he'd find one of those.
Well, nothing getting hot or anything, so that's a good sign.
That's a precursor to smoke.
Right. I really like that motor on trick because you don't need any kind of video. You know.
By the way, for those of you into stats here, Scott Cooper in the chat has just said 339 episodes on an average of 4 hours per episode is 56.5 full 24-hour days to watch.
So we could start a retro channel of just replaying all the old stuff.
Well, we were kind of doing that on Roku when Roger Taylor was kind of sharing the feed for a while there. Maybe we should talk to him again if he's still doing that.
I know that Brian Joyce, when he did the thing for the 200th episode of CoCo Talk, that he had calculated the hours, total hours up, and I went through and figured out it was like 3.21 hours average per show at that point.
Yeah, that was back when we were shorter.
Yeah, it probably is closer to 4 hours now.
There you go. You could just start a Twitch channel and have just old episodes playing 24 hours a day.
Yeah, you literally could. And he's just doing the 339 episodes of the regular show. He's not including over 100-ish episodes of the Game On Challenge. He's not including the CoCoTECH. He's not including the pre-CoCo Talk interviews.
After Dark.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about After Dark.
We could bring back that one at some point.
Okay, I'm going to try motor on. Not hearing anything. No.
Okay, so the ROM's not running properly.
Is it plugged
Starts
into the
and
LG
dies.
TV? Is it on? I'm not seeing any lights.
There's a no signal floating across
okay,
the
I
screen
didn't
there.
notice it. Okay.
Well, let's we'll let him.
We'll come back to
ponder-
Bob in a little bit.
Part
Ponder on
2,
that for a while.
the debug. Have
You should have been live streaming this. You could have all kinds of people commenting on what to check.
Have you got A4? Have you got B6?
Yeah.
It looks pretty, though.
It's a little different troubleshooting when you got a system that's never proven itself.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, because
previously,
even Pedro hasn't made one of these fully up and populated and tried it, has he?
I think he has.
Oh, he has? Okay.
well, when you normally troubleshooting a CoCo, it's at least worked in the past.
Oh, right.
And so then it was just one thing that's missing. But here, you have a system that hasn't been commissioned yet or proven itself. So there could be a lot more to check for.
But apparently others have worked, which is a lot better than working on something like.
Yeah, if you get a raw circuit board from
Yeah.
a manufacturer for you and you didn't notice
Which
you
has
missed
never
some
worked for
pins or
anybody
something.
anywhere
Yeah.
at any time. And will it work after I get done mucking with it? I don't know.
Well, it's like Julian and others have done when they've done their Dragon repo boards and they tried for the first time and then they found out they swapped a couple of pins traces
Right.
or something like
2
that.
traces are flipped or something stupid.
Yeah, there's another YouTube channel I watch, and it's Noel's something retro channel, I believe. But he was building up a Commodore 64 board, reproduction board, and his issue wasn't the board or soldering work. It was fake chips.
Oh,
got
I think
him.
I saw that. Yeah, Noel's Retro Lab. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and it was fake chips that burned him, not the board or soldering work. It was fake chips got him.
Have you ever hit? Wait till Ken gets his headphones back on. Frederic, has that ever hit you? You've gotten fake chips, like you ordered something and it's labeled as one and came as something else?
I am lucky so far, but I just received the order for the 6309. So I'm going to use rubbing alcohol on it to see if it rubs off.
Right.
I was going to ask you other hardware guys, so Rick and Mark and Ken and both Marks, I guess. Have you guys ever gotten fake rebranded chips when you
I
order?
keep trying, but I haven't been able to get one yet.
Not that I know of.
I bought a lot of 6809s and 6309s from Camelus X, who used to be here in the US, then moved back to the Netherlands, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyways, like 20 or so of each. And he packed them in just a tinfoil on a pad. So it's like, I don't know if something happened to him after the fact or if some of them were fake. A lot of them work, some of them didn't. So I don't know if they're fake or not.
I've gotten chips that
Right.
don't work in the past, but I've never gotten ones where you can rub the silk screen off with the rubbing alcohol or anything.
Yeah, and you find out it's not a CPU, it's a PIA or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Just some random.
Hey, Ken,
Yeah.
Franklin Harris said he'll
I'll
send you
try
all
it
sorts of clips.
live.
What?
Franklin
I'll
Harris.
try it live.
Oh,
See if my chips are okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Frank's going to send me all kinds of fake chips. Excellent. Well, I
Thanks.
can't seem to get any from China. I keep ordering them and they keep coming and they work.
Yeah, the chips that I've gotten that were fake myself were the ones that were on the blue pills that were used for making the Grease Weasel F1s. I think I ordered 20 of them between 3 different suppliers, which ended up being the exact same packages from all 3 vendors. And the microcontrollers were fake. They all failed to pass.
Mark, if you want to zoom up Frederic here, he's actually doing the test to see if these chips have been relabeled.
Is it rubbing rough?
No, at least that one's
No.
okay. But I've got a few other peripheral chips that I'll try also.
Well, the other
Yeah, because that's a
thing,
danger,
too,
especially if
is-
you're ordering from China, from what I understand. I mean, I'm not Harvard guy, so I don't do this, but
And there's nothing on your rag either, so.
alcohol's the
Right.
first one, and then the second test after that is then
Is it acetone?
acetone is the second test.
that's
after
nail
the-
polish remover or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, but
Yeah,
the actual
that's rough.
chemical is acetone.
I'm just trying translating for the non-geeks here, like me.
I actually had an idea to do a video about getting fake chips from China, and so I ordered a
can't.
whole bunch, and they just all turned out to be
They're
real.
broken.
Another couple of comments in the chat here while he's testing these chips here with the alcohol test first. Julian Brown, creator of the Dragon 32 motherboard duplicate, and now getting the expanded version. Oh, did you
That's
get
A
some?
little bit of dirt.
If I'm glass.
Frederic, you might want to pull your mic a bit closer too, if you can.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, no, there was a little bit of dirt, but it did not reveal anything else.
Like the paint didn't, it still looks good.
Yeah, it does. Let's try something else.
Yeah. So Julian Brown, creator of the Dragon 32, said, oops, I think it's scrolled off here.
Board.
He said, Noel, the channel we're talking about before, has one of his Dragon boards and keyboard sets waiting to be built. So I'm guessing there'll be a Dragon build on Noel's channel at some point in the future, which is awesome. Daddy Burrito says, gosh, you guys make it sound like a disease. It was the fake chips that got him.
It is kind of a disease.
Hey, I couldn't help it. I enjoy watching people build their machines or fix them. That's why I love Adrian's Digital Basement and Joel's or Noel's shop and others.
Julian Brown also says he's been burned on fake CPLDs, 2 lots of 10 from different suppliers with the same issue. Alcohol won't ship the etching, but acetone is a safe bet.
Right.
And then Frank Linares of Retro Rewind says those chips are still made, not likely to be fake. Yeah, the fake ones are usually relabeled because they're rare, like they're old new stock or pulled out of old motherboards and stuff. So
Right.
And then Julian added, Noah's promised to stream the Building the Dragon Reaper board, but he said no schedule yet.
Yeah, some of the chips that Pedro uses, like for the PIAs, he's been using the ones from Western Design Center, WDC, and those are the 65C21s, I believe. Is that right, Mark?
21 or 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds right.
So, and he says those seem to work fine. So, I thought about ordering a few of those to keep on hand to replace for both the CoCo 1, 2, and 3s in case the PIAs fry. Plus, they'd use less power because they're CMOS instead of.
Yeah, they'd be run cooler then too, right? Just like a 609 versus 6809.
Yep. At least that's what my hope would be.
So Western Design Center, for those who don't know, is Bill Minch, I guess it is. He was one of the Motorola engineers that left and went to MOS Technologies. And then he continued developing the 6502, CO2, and that sort of stuff, and other peripheral chips, and still makes them, has them made today.
This is kind of weird because I received these chips individually separated plastic containers. Usually they're in a tube, but the tube has been cut for
Right.
all 10 of them. That was lazy. Or not lazy. Actually, it's more work.
Right.
Maybe it was cheaper for the
Makes,
shipping.
makes the package form factor a little bit easier to work with instead of
Yeah,
long.
probably.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your shipping rate by volume, which is the size of the package, then you would save.
Okay, so the chips all look fine, but the printing is coming off of Frederic. What does that mean?
Frederic's a fake. His real name's Jim.
No, it's just drying out his skin.
Come on, get out. Hate it when they use.
No, I won't leave.
Bob, how is your end going? Are you figuring anything out?
I'm rearranging cameras right now so I can show the scope and the board at the same time. At least I know I have a good clock signal now.
Okay. Well, while these two are doing the checks on the chips and checks on the motherboard, et cetera, we should probably continue with the rest of the show, and you guys can interject if you find anything.
Okay. Let's see. Commercial break and then game on results.
Sounds good to me.
Certainly.
Okay. Here we go.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCo Nation Show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo, and joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents.
You're watching CoCo Nation.
I feel like that should have been longer.
The CoCo Nation Show would like to thank the following patrons: Alex Gayer, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Weasler, Kieran Anscombe, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Wapke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Kevin Holloway, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, Terry Steege, TJ B. Chris, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., and William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons.
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
Le Bandit says, "Hi, my first name is Renee, French name, because I'm from Quebec, Canada. I'm back to my old love. From my first CoCo 1 computer in 1981, I bought a CoCo 3 and an MC10. Here Be Dragon says, hi there. Tony J here from the UK, seeing what you guys are up to here in CoCo land, although I do have a CoCo 1, 2 and 3 as well as far too many dragons. You're right, there's absolutely no such thing as too many dragons. Rob CFG says, hi. My name is Roberto F. I have too many systems to name them here, but I'll say that my first computer was an Atari 800 XL, followed by an Amstrad CPC, and later on I got my first Dragon. I'm looking to be kept on the loop for Dragon and CoCo news, and in touch with the community. Amardeep AC9MF says, hi. My name is Amardeep C and I have a CoCo problem. Sort of an addiction if you will. It started in December of 1980 when I brought home a shiny new 26 3001. Gosh, I love that 2343 bytes of RAM. I love using the machine and exploring what their hardware can do. I'm looking forward to sharing and reading about these wonderful machines. Thank you. NH Paul says, hello. Paul here, I've been active over in the Tandy Discord, own a TRS-80 Model 1 system and also an Atari 130XE system, and recently inherited a CoCo 2. Never owned or used one back in the day, so hoping to learn more about it here. Kelly L says, good day. Name is Kelly. Have at least one of each CoCo among my extensive TRS/Tandy collection. The previous bios were edited for time. Thanks to Alex Gayer, Boysen, Glenside Computer Club, Paul Fiscarelli, Tandy Color Computer 3, and the CoCo Nation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
See you on Discord.
Acetone?
Welcome everybody to
Yes.
the CoCo
Nail polish
Nation
remover.
Game On.
Yeah, hers
Challenge of
smells
the Week
nice.
Results
Too many
video.
questions if you have a
This
bottle of it
week
of
we
your own.
played
Yeah, but I have a gallon.
Prospector. We had a total of 11 players. They were Mr.Dave 6309 with 900, Coconut Bob 1350, C. Duras 1750, Dave Ladd 3500, Shenley 3950, Jim Rye 4300, Sloopy Malibu 4400, L Curtis Boyle 4450, Canadian Retro Things 6100, Tasman 16,150. And this week's number one scorer belongs to Buck Owens with 17,550. Thanks everybody that played, and we'll see you again next week.
The CoCo Nation salutes Buck Owens.
All right, Ken, you're up.
Okay, so that was Prospectors. Let's see. So didn't really find any reviews of the game, but what is it? The December 88 issue of, I think this was Rainbow.
Rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah. Is the issue where it is a type-in game. So this is the issue where it is listed. And it has a little bit of a just talking about the game, but then it goes fairly extensively into how the game works. So if you're interested in writing games and stuff, you can actually go through and read this article and look at the game listing and figure out what they were doing while they were doing it. So it's a nice little article for that. It doesn't really give any rating of the game, of course, because it was actually made by them, or it was this is the first time it showed up in Rainbow. So, and yeah, I couldn't find any actual reviews of the game. So it was a fairly difficult game, I guess. We were talking about it. The control structure of the game was a little hard. The guy moved a little fast in the game, but actually for a type-in game, it's quite good. And it had 50 levels, which I don't think most of us got to see past level 2.
I think I made level 3 on one of my games.
Oh, did you? I never made it past level 2, so. But I have here, as soon as I find it.
Buck Owens made it to 7.
I have a video here by Buck Owens. And so this is level 2. And if you go through this, switch over to level 3, and you can see it's got elevators, so it's definitely got some Donkey Kong inspiration here. And jump forward some more. Level 4, it's got the floating, I don't know what you would call those, platforms. I guess that would be kind of some inspiration of many different games. And Yeah, and then I guess this is level 5, which is just has way more stuff to do and more bad guys on it. Let's see. Level 6 introduces you to some new bad guys. They just jump down like that.
Makes it look so simple and easy.
Yeah, that's just watching Buck play because, well, he's AI, so he's very good at doing that.
You remember how far Tasman got? I think he got pretty far too, because his score is pretty close to Buck's.
No, I don't. I'm not 100% sure how far Tasman got. See, oops, there should be a level 7 here, I think, didn't he? Yeah, so level 7 is just more of the stuff. And one of the things that this game also would allow
you got a
to
monster
do-
doesn't freeze now on this one, though.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And that
go ahead.
one can also go up and down the ladders and jump over the gaps. So
Just in case the game's not hard enough.
yeah, so that's
exactly
that's Buck Owens managed to get 7 levels, and there are 50 in this game. So
And you can make your own if you read the article in Rainbow.
Yep,
So.
you can make your own. It's one of the things that it goes into in depth in the article is how to make your own levels, and they go in to show you exactly how in their listing it makes the level, so you can figure out how to make your own.
I vote that we get somebody to write a whole bunch of really easy levels.
There you go.
So I have a feeling of accomplishment for a change on this game.
25 really easy levels where there's one thing to get and only one bad guy, and he's on the complete opposite side of the screen and can't get to you.
No, 50 golds, one bad guy, and it's super easy to get it.
But yeah, actually for a type-in game, there is a lot of content there, and I'd be interested to know if anybody in the past has ever made it like through all 50 screens.
You didn't get a chance to check to see if any of the Rainbow scoreboards had people scoring the game, so you can see how far they might have got.
There. Now that's something I forgot to do.
Wow.
I'll report back later if I find anything. But I did look up in Rainbow, and there was I couldn't find any listings of anything. I looked on a couple of things, I couldn't find anything, but I could look a little more extensively, I guess.
Yeah, because I know as far as reviews go, unless you caught it in a different magazine or a newsletter or something, you probably wouldn't, because Rainbow didn't really review their own stuff.
Yeah.
But you would see that some of their games appear on the scoreboard, which is why I was kind of curious if maybe...
I'll have a look after we get done here and see if I can find anything, and I'll report back by the end of the show.
I think one of the things that is not I don't like about the game is it has what I call it suffers from Rupertitus, which is basically the same problem I had when I did my Rupert rhythm, and that the game requires you to stop and wait for the enemies to be in a certain position before you can safely continue. And for a lot of people, they just don't want to sit there, just doing nothing, waiting for it. And sometimes you have to wait a fair while for things to fall into place so that you can safely get past. So that is a bit of a dead space in the game. And that's what I suffered in my Rupert rhythm, and this one has the same disease.
I didn't really mind that, actually. The fact that there was no timer and you could wait for your opportunities was...
I think it's the patience thing, though, because in Nick's case, if you had a really long elevator and they go pretty slow and you're waiting and it slowly comes up, stops at the platform below, goes up another little bit, stops at the platform. Anyway, you got that stupid silver ball coming after you and you can't move.
Well, that's Rupert rhythm, but
yeah.
It's just all that really long waiting. And, if you're after a really fast action game, that's this isn't it.
It's kind of a combination of a fast action game and something you have to think about, see the patterns and figure out how you're going to get stuff. And
excitement of a red light.
Like Nick,
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it before. Like one thing you would probably do if you ever did redo Rupert Rhythm is instead of elevators following the set pattern going in between every platform they connect with, they would come towards the player. So the players higher up on the screen, they would go up and maybe bounce back and forth between the two higher ones. And if the player goes lower, then it would start going down. So at least it would cut down the time waiting for it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I call Rupertitus.
And you fix that in Zero Hour, which is kind of a sequel to Rupert Rhythm, isn't it?
It sort of is, yeah. So I did improve it. It's not a complete fix, but yeah, I do speed it up. I designed it so that the platforms or the elevators didn't have to go as far in most scenes, and in the very first level 0 stage, the elevators don't stop at every level. They come more directly for you, so you don't have to wait as long. But yeah, little tweaks like that, and that's what this game also suffers from, the fact that you've got to be patient. And yeah, who has that?
Yeah, especially in modern days.
Yeah.
See, that's why it's fun. You stick it in front of a kid that's used to the games nowadays, and they get frustrated and get killed really fast, and because they have no patience.
And then you win.
Yep.
And it gives us old farts a chance to actually beat them in a video game.
Exactly.
Frederic here, just before we get back in the game on challenge results and stuff in the live stream, did you find any fake chips?
Nope. I didn't try with the acetone though, but they seem to be legit. Most of them have that indentation in them, so it's not just a print. It's really
it actually is lasered.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Okay, and then a quick check in with Bob here because I saw you pointing at things.
Yeah.
So is my mic working?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, what I found when I plugged into the GBS 8200, it actually like I've got a green bar on the screen, a solid black screen, but with a green bar on its side. So it's doing something. I am getting clock signals. Let's see. You can see the scope there. Let me turn this thing on. Oh, I was gonna hook up one of these guys. Start box, but I guess I can't get sync if I don't have a composite signal either. So that
Oh no, you wouldn't. You needed like a true RGB analog to test that.
Yeah. So yeah, the GBS 8200 was probably the best bet. It didn't come up with a signal, but it didn't do absolutely nothing. So I guess back to just random probing for the time being.
Okay, well, we'll check in with you a little bit later.
Alrighty.
Good luck.
Well, one question: with the 128 installed, did you need those two capacitors installed?
I've run it without them. When I basically did I reverted this machine from 512 to 128K when my board died, and I got a replacement board. And in the meantime, I never did put those back, and it seemed like it worked okay.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of timing, but even if you had some timing problems in the RAM, you still get a full screen of something.
Right.
Okay.
Well, again, good luck. It's there somewhere. It's simple. It's just there somewhere.
I might even have a bad chip. Not all these chips are brand new.
That'll make it hard to diagnose though, because you don't know what you're checking for.
Well, there aren't too many of them, luckily.
Yeah.
Did you try another gimme chip?
I know the gimme chip is good. It's out of my 3P. And the ROM chip is also good. The ROM chip and the gimme chip are just temporarily out of my working computer, and I do know that those are good even after I remove them. And also the salt chip, I assume it's good. It's a removed one that I had converted to DC.
Yeah,
and
if
I
you've
am
got
getting my proper voltages on the board, 5 volts. And
right, so enough of the salt chip is working. As long as like all the gate chips are talking, I mean, you'll see a bad gate chip because they'll be dead outputs.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you got to be really close because the motor clicks, which means you're almost running.
And in the chat, Ken Reichert said it's going to be in the last place you look.
Well, yeah, because you stopped then, wouldn't you?
So start with the last place you look.
Yeah.
If you keep looking, then you're a dummy.
Start at the end.
Anyway, as we let Bob figure that out here, we'll go back to Ken because Sleepy's not here to talk about the live game stream.
Oh, there's also another game that we were playing this week, which was Montezuma's Dungeons.
Yes,
which is a clone of Venture,
but harder. We seem to be picking hard games this last while.
Well, this time I've chosen something that's not quite so hard. Anyways, so yeah, that game definitely a little difficult. And unlike Venture, the screen doesn't change when you complete one. Like there's, I think in Venture, 3 different levels that all have 3 different configuration of rooms and stuff. But in this one, it's just the same over and over. Every time you beat
It's
all
just
the
the
rooms.
treasures, I think, and the monsters change, or just the treasures, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I only made it to the 2nd level once. So
yeah, I made it to 3 or 4, and I think the treasures change each time. So they do seem to be how far that goes. I have no idea.
But yeah, if you didn't have anything else to play, this would be a pretty decent game. A little difficult. The bad guy that shows up on the screen that you can't kill comes a little too quickly for I think.
And he moves faster than you too.
Well, it does. It does in the regular game too. But one thing that you can do in the actual Venture game that you can't do in this one is if you shoot the guy that comes after you, he will stop briefly. So it'll give you a chance to escape, but he is faster than you in the original as well. But you can shoot him and he'll pause for a second.
Okay, that's a pretty major difference then, because that was what usually killed me was him. It's not the regular monsters.
Yeah. All right, so I will show you what we did on Thursday. And if you're listening to the show earlier, you will know that because this coming Thursday is Canadian Thursday, we're not going to have a show. So there'll be no live stream this week on Thursday. But yeah, we had a bunch of people in. We're all playing. Mostly we played Montezuma's Dungeons, but a couple people played Prospector. And yeah, they're both pretty hard games, so I don't know. Anybody have any tips or tricks for either game that when they played?
Prospector, I think you covered it last week. The biggest thing is hold your joystick diagonal if you want to drop into a hole or go up or down a ladder, etc. That makes a huge difference. I also didn't realize until I don't know, fairly late in the show here, because I kept making the second level and I was dying a lot. And then I figured out you can jump up to platforms.
Yeah.
If they're diagonally offset. Stupid me. I didn't even try the first, I don't know how many times.
It took me a while to figure that one out too.
Yeah. As far as Montezuma's Dungeons, the monsters, when you're in the outside hall where you can see the 6 rooms, tend to try to follow you as much as they can. So you can kind of lure them all onto one side and then zip over and have fairly clean getting into and out of rooms here, because otherwise you get yourself into a room, you get the treasure, you manage to dodge the monster and come back out, and then you're immediately killed because the guy was sitting there waiting for you from where you entered the room in the first place. So if you kind of lead them off to the top or the bottom or the left or the right first, kind of like mosey around, That'll give you at least a clearer spot to get in and out of the room where you don't have to worry about dying. It's just within the room you have to worry about dying. So that helps a fair bit. You do move faster diagonally, so use that to your advantage. And the other thing I think you mentioned too, Ken, is that you can actually not kill all the regular monsters in the room, and then you can use them to help block the main monster because he can't go through. He has to go wait to go around. So that helps a lot.
He'll hit the other monsters and kind of bounce off. So,
which gives you enough time to try to get out.
Not a great way to get points, but
you can milk them too. I think even Buck had mentioned on one of his streams that you can milk the points by going in and out.
Yeah,
shoot.
Just go in, shoot a couple, leave. As long as you don't get the treasure. Once you've gotten the treasure, you don't get any points for killing the monsters.
Yeah, but you can milk it for points that way. I never play games that way. I find that boring. But
yeah,
that's why Buck always beats me. I guess that's my excuse this week.
I guess another thing about Montezuma's Dungeons is try to stay away from being on the very top or the very bottom of the screen because there is no gap between the monsters to get through. If you get cornered between two monsters on the top or bottom, you're dead.
You're just dead. Yeah. Whereas on the left and right side, you got one pixel, and if he doesn't move over, then you can sneak by him if you're lucky.
So basically try to stay away from the edges of the screen as much as possible.
And you do have those little areas you can duck into to try to lure them away to in the middle, etc.
Yeah.
Or even on some of the edges that you can.
That's usually the best thing is hang around in one of those open areas in the center of the screen and get as many of them lured over there as you can and then go to the other side of the screen and start doing the rooms.
Yeah. These are two games actually that I will not be working on 6 or 9 speed ups for.
Really? I think this Prospector would be awesome if it was sped up.
Yeah, well, you got the double speed poke for that. I think you could try that if you want to. If you're a sadomasochist.
You'd never be able to control the guy.
Nope. Honestly, I mean, if I was going to review the games as opposed to just talking about how to play them, I would review both of these as there's a great game at the core. They both need some tweaking.
Yeah.
To make it more.
I think Montezuma's Revenge would be better if. I'm not sure if you got rid of some of the guys in the hallway. There's a few too many of them because it's so easy to get yourself cornered.
Or have a bit more random as to how they move, so it's not
Yeah.
constantly just honing in on your position.
And definitely the witch that comes out to kill you
In the room.
slower. Yeah. Definitely that.
Actually, you pointed out something I'd forgotten about the original arcade game. If you shoot it, it pauses a bit. Like even that would be enough to at least give you a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Or a little bit slower, yeah. I like the shooting to pause though. That I think is a good mechanic they should have kept.
So you're going to fix that then, Curtis?
No.
Why don't you fix it, David?
Yeah, David, you've done some
Curtis.
assembly language.
I know nothing of what you speak. I'm completely ignorant of the 6809.
I think Ken said it all.
You're half right.
I think Ken said it all. The problem is, yeah.
All right. So, So normally we stream Thursdays in the Discord channel, but not this Thursday, unless you just want to show up into the Discord channel and play. Some of us might be there, but it just won't be a broadcast show. So if you're a little shy about even being on the live show, you could show up on Thursday and just play the game, or you can actually go in and play the game anytime you want, and I'm sure people will join in.
Yeah, and you can just come in and trash talk other people too if you want. So now we've got Montezuma's is actually going to be a 3-week long game, right? Because of the skip date.
No, we're only skipping the game on the live show. Montezuma's Revenge is still going to end on Friday.
It's Thursday? Or Friday? Yeah, okay. Wasn't sure how you're doing that. So we're only going to have one game for the following week then, right? Oh, no.
No.
Because you can't announce one next week because there's no show to announce it. Huh?
Saturday. I announced the shows on Saturday. The games on Saturday.
Oh, right. Never mind. I need more coffee here. Just go ahead.
Are you feeling okay, Curtis? Do we need to send you some help?
As a matter of fact, talking about announcing a game, how about I announce one right now?
There you go.
Yeah, get this show back on track here because I just screwed it up.
Yes.
Well, there's really going to be no guessing about what game this is because the title is right on the top of the screen. So I'll just show it.
Grips it.
Lax attacks.
Rupert Rhythm.
Half tutor.
Glaxons by Mark Data Products. Came out in 83, if I remember correctly.
I remember that.
Yep. And Curtis's website is now fixed for this game.
Yeah.
As I pointed out to him this morning, he had it listed as a CoCo 3 only game, but it's actually good for a CoCo 1, 2, or 3 with 16K. So,
yeah, you might need 32K on disc, if I remember correctly. But yeah, the original cassette was 16.
So, of course, this
now from
is
first glance, people might think this is just a Glaxions clone, but it's not. There's some differences. Do you know what they are, Ken, or have you tried playing this yet?
I've played it a little bit, and we are going to be playing on level 1. It's a fairly hard game, but yeah, I'll let people discover the differences as they play them.
You're not going to warn them at all, eh?
Nope. Why would I do that? Where's the fun in that?
This is called foreshadowing.
Yep.
We are going to die.
Just out of quick curiosity here, how many people in the panel and how many people in the chat have actually played this one before?
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
In a universe far, far away.
I have.
And I sucked there too.
That's a pretty far sucking.
Tom Eric Anderson said it was available for the Dragon, sold by Microdeal. 60 says probably briefly, which means I don't think he was too impressed.
So I guess 60 kind of gives it away. Don't use an auto fire joystick. It's one of those games where you fire a bullet, and if you shoot again right away, your bullet disappears because there's only
Like
one
one
shot
and
on the
done.
screen at a time. One and done.
You can retract your shot, basically. It's a Dwarf style.
Oh, so if it's going bad, then you can
abort it.
Yeah, if you're going to
bad.
completely miss the thing you shoot at, then you can just fire again and it disappears.
60. Whoops, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I just wanted people to feel how I felt the first time I played it, where I was sitting there and I was just firing. I'm like,
I'm not hitting nothing. Yeah. I'll give you a clue. Another one, though. Movement's a bit different than standard Galaxians, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say what it is, Kieran.
I know what it is.
I'm curious.
Now, if I remember, Ken, on the 2-player mode of this one, each player can pick their own skill level, too. So if you have
that's the
kids,
other
like
thing.
if your kids want to play it and aren't too good at it, and you want to make it a bit more even, you can actually play a higher level yourself, and then you'll let your kids play at an easier level. Each player has its own individual skill level.
However, we are playing on the lowest skill level because it's a fairly difficult game.
Yeah, but I mean, if you wanted to make it fair for younger kids, you could do that too.
Nah, you got to give them the harder level so you look better.
Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, I had that backwards. I forgot about the age thing. Yeah.
Don't worry. They get my son, when he was 4 or 5 years old, I networked together Doom when we still had XTs and 286 and stuff like that. Was it a 386?
Doom probably 3 or 486 even.
Yeah, 386. Yeah. I played a lot of Doom, and he beat me all the time. He's 5 years old, for crying out loud. But no, to be fair, I was playing facing the wall. He was on the other corner of the wall, and I think he was watching when I was going. When we were playing in dual mode, so he probably was cheating a bit, but in essence, beat me all the time. Probably that's why he's a gamer now.
Oh, Bob Emery there There's a message for you from Wayne Campbell in the chat here. It says, message for Bob. When I was watching you assemble the board, I distinctly remember you using RCA connectors that weren't the right color. I could be wrong, but you might try using the RCA connector on the box to the right of that yellow connector, as I think that is the video output. Does that sound like it's possible? And he puts a caveat there that I'm not a hardware tech, so I could be totally wrong.
On the standard CoCo 3, video is the one closest to the RF can.
Which would be yellow then.
Audio is the one is closest to the reset.
Okay.
So yeah.
Looking at the back of mine.
Bob's got the right colors though. The CoCo had the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, red and white or something, was it?
Yeah, whatever they had in their audio division, that's what they put on the back.
Left and right stereo, and now one's video. There you go.
That's right. Yellow is meant to be video.
That's the convention, at least.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, was it convention back when the CoCos
yes,
came out?
That was always
it always was, yeah.
I think I got it right. Tandy has a lot of audio connectors. They have a warehouse full of them.
I guess because I'm remembering all the earliest machines just had RF. There was no color code or anything.
Was no anything. And
yeah, but if you think back to like your VCRs and stuff, they're usually color coded on the back.
The earliest VCRs, I don't think even had composite in some cases, though. I remember we had one that was just RF, and that's all you got.
My Betamax in 1982 did.
Right? No.
Well, you're advanced. Cool. You're using Betamax, not that VHS crap.
Yeah, good stuff.
Tandy were probably just being cheap when they ordered the parts. They ordered the two RCAs, and they came as red and white because they were meant for audio.
What do you mean ordered? They just had them lying around.
Right.
Say it isn't so, Nick. Tandy being CoCo. Cheap? What are you talking about?
They just used stuff they had. Yeah.
Yeah, if you buy the red and the white as audio, it was cheaper than trying to buy yellow.
I believe someone on the show mentioned that they switched between red and white for the video out on CoCos.
Yeah. By the way, Kevin Holloway is on the panel right now. Says he has to go, so wave goodbye to Ken there. I see you were trying to wave to us.
Bye, Ken.
Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Kevin.
Kev.
Oh, did I say Ken?
Yep.
Oops, I meant Kevin. Sorry.
I'm not going anywhere. You can't get rid of me that easy.
We wanted it to be.
You're stuck with me.
We wanted it to be Ken, but anyway.
Freudian slip, what can I tell you? Hey, Glaxons next week. Next 2 weeks.
Yep. So have fun.
Okay.
Glaxon.
It might not be as hard as the other games I've been choosing.
That one's fairly difficult from what I remember, at least last time I played it. But I'm not very good at that whole Gorf style shooting. I suck at all those. So if you're used to it, I guess you'll kick my butt. So I'm not going to do a commercial here because I have very few game related stories. I'll just go straight into them. I don't know if you want to play the intro there, Mark. Oh. I'll share my screen while I'm checking this here. Whoops.
In goes the
Now I'm in the right window. Okay, you guys have seen that?
Yep.
Okay. Of course, the first few will be Jim Gerrie as just about every week there. But let me go throw the notes over here. Scrolling. There we are. No, I guess I didn't. I thought maybe I just hit enter, but I didn't even drag it over there. Thanks for pointing that out, Mark. Okay, so the first one that Jim Gerrie worked on this past week Yeah, it's called Shoplifting Boy. I don't even know how to pronounce the Japanese version of it there, so I'm not even going to try. And this is from a Japanese magazine, and it's for the NEC PC 6001, which I believe is the same platform that the game that Alan Murphy is converting over was from, if I remember correctly. So this was originally in MyCom Basic magazine, their very first issue, actually, from July of 1982. And this is considered to be one of the earliest stealth games. Now, Jim has ported this before to the MC10, but this one he did a couple of revisions over the week to try to get it to play a bit closer to the original NEC version. So I'll play it a little bit here. I did like the animations he did. It's Robin time. So the object in here is you're going between these corridors and you're trying to steal all the money, which is the dollar signs, but trying not to be seen. So you're the one that's going up and down on the left-hand side, and the guard is the other one. And if he catches direct sight of you, he'll come after you. So you're trying to, within a timer, steal everything without getting caught, basically. In fact, is this the same game that Alan Murphy's actually converting to the CoCo with graphics? Is that? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
Alan Murphy's one is it's like a cargo ship, and you have to try to break into the various cells and get the stuff. So I guess similar, but not exactly.
Not quite the same then.
No.
So stealth games apparently was a big thing in Japan in the early 80s. I do like his animations here, though. He's even got like the walking feet and stuff, and the arms waving and bending at the elbow, all using text characters and semi-graphics. That's pretty innovative use of those. One of the better ones I've seen. And another one he did that on is skiing. This is from the same magazine, the same issue, actually. So it's another Japanese port. This one here will actually work in 4K. So this will even work on a stock MC10 or a stock Alice if you have the French clone of the MC10 in nice bright red. And you have to steer through the flags, scrolling down the screen type thing. And don't hit them like that. You can see he's even like changing the direction of the feet, stuff, the skis as you move. So it's, once again, you're just using text characters and semi-graphics, doing a pretty good job of creating a skier that actually looks a bit like a skier instead of just a square block like I probably would have done. And then the other one he did here is Football Manager. Now, this is actually converted from a Dragon game because that was a fairly popular genre, I think, for a lot of the UK computers back then. People in the chat from the UK can, correct me either way or not. But I remember seeing quite a few of them advertised for Spectrums and BBC Micros and stuff, and they're kind of like management style games. So this is when he converted from the Dragon to the MC10, and originally written by Kevin Toms in 1982. Seven skill levels. And it's all text-based, so it's basically like a lot of the Prickly Pear games where you're kind of doing management style stuff here. It's not an arcade game. It's not a simulation or anything like that. Well, kind of a simulation, I guess. So I'll fast forward a little bit. You can kind of see what here you're going through your roster. You're finding out which players are injured, etc. And that value is their salaries. I sure hope they're getting paid better nowadays, because I know what North American sports people make for wages these days, and you need a few other zeros added on to the money values there. So that's the ones that Jim cranked out. And then Chronologically Gaming is now covering the rest of August 1982, which is basically anything that was not have a specific release date, and it's basically an alphabetical list of all of those. So we've covered quite a few, and there's a couple of pretty big ones on Ataris and stuff here too, but there's also a fair number of CoCo and a couple of Dragon ones too. So the first one, I was going to play a little clip here. Like, he's basically the ones he got covered this week. He covered Alcatraz 2 for the Dragon, which is a CoCo conversion. Pretty well dead the same. Black Sanctum and Clicks to Island, the text adventures, basically the exact same. I think the splash screen's a little bit different. Then he did Escape, which is a 3D Ken Kalish, one of his first games actually for the CoCo, and quite a hard one. It's kind of an adventure 3D maze game. So that's another CoCo version. Then he did Flag, which is actually a Dragon original from Dragon Data themselves. It's written in BASIC, so it's capture the flag type thing against a computer player. Written in BASIC, but not too bad. And then on the last one he did cover Gangbusters, which I'll show a little bit of here for those who haven't seen that game. And this was almost a simultaneous release. And now this Prickly Pear actually did do some cross-platform, and this is one of the games they did do cross-platform. So there's another brand new machine out around this time of August 82, this on Commodore 64, and they did a version of Gangbusters for that. I was just going to ask you, because this is a game that a few of my friends and I used to play a fair bit, especially if we're having a little bit of a party and you just wanted kind of some distraction in the background, because you take turns. Unlike, say, Viking or some of the other ones here, you can actually attack other players here once you get leveled up enough, which made this game much more interesting. And, almost broke out in fistfights, depending on how things went. But I was wondering, has anybody else on the panel or in the chat actually ever played Gangbusters? And I'll play a little bit of video while you are answering.
Nope.
We're now on the TRS-80 color computer, and this is Gangbusters. Let's take a look at Gangbusters. All we got is an ad that you would have seen by Prickly Pear Software. If you ever wanted to try a life or crime, this is
requires at least 2 human players, but up to 6.
Using brains and a little muscle, you can rise to become a hood, runner, bookie, torpedo.
Basically, it's one of the first games where you're actually playing the bad guys here, because you're mobsters and you're trying to rise up through the mob to become the kingpin of the entire city you're in. And you have to skim profits from like unions, and you can take contracts out of each other, steal each other's limos that are bulletproof, and all kinds of stuff that you can get into. He doesn't get into all that in here, but it's a standard Prickly Pear style. You've got the he's got 2 players in this particular example here. This is how much you made from your union skimming, your bootleg booze operations, and your houses of ill repute. And then you've got people like the Juice Man in there, where you can actually borrow money, but he'll charge you like extravagant interest rates. And if you start borrowing a bit too much, he might take a contract out on you too. You can bribe judges here to get your sheet pulled. You can actually get let out of jail early if you can bribe the judge enough. So there's a lot of interesting facets to it, but it's one of the first games on computers. There's a couple before this, but the first ones, one of the first ones that you would play the bad guy on purpose, which actually I think makes it a bit more fun.
Right. This guy went on to form Rockstar Games, right? And all of that. No, I'm joking. It's
what it sounds like.
But also, this is one of the first ones Prickly Pear actually released for the Commodore 64. So this is what the Commodore 64 version looks like. And one thing I found kind of neat is the borders they did. They kind of duplicated the semi-graphics from the CoCo, like verbatim. They created the little checkerboard 2x2, graphic characters, because of course the C64 had redefinable graphics, so they could match the font that the semi-graphics on the CoCo was doing. The only real difference here is that you've got a wider, taller screen. You got 40x24. Is that right on the Commodore, Ken, or anybody else?
Yeah, I think that's right.
So there's a little bit more room, but it was interesting seeing like how the two compared to each other and released almost simultaneously. This particular episode, they also covered Haunted House, which is a Haunted House game, but it was a kids version. So Aardvark normally did quote unquote adult. They're not really adult. They're just, I wouldn't even quite say mature, audiences recommended or anything. But this one was designed specifically to be for younger kids. So the vocabulary is a bit more restricted, etc. And it's an easier game. Unfortunately, like even to move like north, you had to type go north. You couldn't do the shortcuts. So I guess it was also a forced typing tutor at the same time. And that was going to show a little bit of the capture the flag one from the dragon here. It looks like I forgot to load that window, so let's do it right now. And we'll probably get an ad from YouTube. Just to catch up on the chat here. 60, I like 60's comment when I was asking about the sports management games, and he said bafflingly popular here. Yes, so apparently he's not a sports guy. It's sports ball to him, just the same as it was to me. Spenny 108 also says soccer management games are still popular in the UK. So let's go to the correct link here. B flag, I think. So basically, it's you versus the computer here. You're moving in real time with a joystick. You have to move across the blue blocking squares, which just randomly, a few of them will shift every round. And then you have question mark squares, which you don't know what the heck they are. and you're kind of racing against each other to get to the flag first. Not a bad little basic game. It was basically a launch title from Dragon Data themselves, and it was not a CoCo port. It was one of the first ones they actually did on their own. And then, within a year or two, after getting a lot of rebranded CoCo games, they started doing a lot of their own stuff, including machine language, so it was getting quite decent. And that's it for the Game On news. So that's a quickie. There's more CoCo games coming up on Chronologically Gaming this week, so I'll just mention that one of my all-time favorites will be on there, which is Phantom Slayer. I'm interested to see what he thinks about that one. And now you can do a commercial break, and we'll come back with the news, the regular news.
Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Aaron of the CoCo Show.
And you're watching or listening to the CoCo Nation, the live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer and its cousins.
All hail the CoCo Nation.
In a world where RGB produces black and white video, one cable can make a difference. Switcheroo. CoCo3ScartCable.com.
G'day from the land down under, where toilets flush backwards and thongs are a respectable form of casual footwear. I am Nick Morentes, and I have been developing games for the CoCo for over 35 years. Welcome to the CoCo Nation, the interactive live video talk show for all enthusiasts of the CoCo family of computers.
Hi, I'm L Curtis Boyle.
I'm Ken Waters of Canadian Retro Things.
And you're watching the CoCo Nation Show.
Only the bravest souls enter. Only the most cunning return. Defeat innumerable monsters to ransom the king's scepter, stolen by the evil wizard. Your sword, shield, and wits are your only allies. Pray you find a magical inn as your only respite in the forest of doom.
For the Tandy Color Computer 1, 2, and 3.
November 2017, if you dare.
When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC-10, and all of their hardware cousins. No matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCo Nation News with L Curtis Boyle.
Oh, that's it. End of the show.
Creepy David is creepy. That's all I got to say. You probably the general stream didn't hear that either, I'm guessing. Right, Mark B?
No, not while the intro was playing.
Okay. Thank God. Okay, so news-wise, we actually do have a fair number of things to cover here. So first of all, George Janssen, we mentioned, is kind of starting up as a simulation tutorial as a series on YouTube again. And I can't remember if we covered this one last week or not, but in case we haven't, I'll just mention it again here. He's getting back. He did kind of a reboot of his original series that he did with us, mentioning that he's going to be teaching assembly programming on the CoCo. So his first episode, other than the intro episode, was actually going through sprite display comparisons, and he's going through various ones by Glenn Hewlett and others. So, sorry?
Pixies.
I'm not calling it that.
Let the wars begin.
You can't retroactively change 30 years of what everybody called it. So anyway, he went through and he compared like some articles like Glenn Hewlett had done, ones that Paul Thayer and Paul Fiscarelli talked about on the CoCoTECH show 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. And then it does demonstrate some slower but more generic versions that he's done as well. So you can go check that out. I think I did cover this briefly next week, so I'll just kind of skim over it quick here. But anyway, that would become kind of an insert episode that wasn't originally planned to be part of the series, but he kind of threw that up because he got curious about it. But now he's actually added in the first official beginner. So this is kind of like rewinding to the beginning type thing. And I'll just play a little clip at the beginning so you kind of get an idea where he's going with this there. So.
Come on, clip.
Are you supposed to be playing something?
Oh, is it not
even,
playing?
You're not even sharing a screen.
No clip.
Oh. Well, duh. I'm batting 1,000 this week.
Misfire, rearm.
Let's play
it's
Mark.
Fine here. I don't know what's wrong with your guys' stuff.
Oh,
but...
Mark, you're doing the dual highlight thing.
Yeah, but if Curtis shares a screen, we should still see it.
Oh, well.
Now we're gonna blame it on Mark anyway.
Yeah, let's play Mark. What the heck? He's easy.
Hey, you guys seeing it now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Let me know if you're hearing it as well.
Nope.
Okay.
Not hearing anything.
Started again. I know in
Are you
the
now?
previous video it said we was going to work
Now
on
I am.
128 stars moving across the screen randomly. Well, no stars, not yet. I started that video and I kept going and going and going and trying to work for beginners. I kept having to regress back into MMRs and palettes and attributes and strobing keyboards and that. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm going to get everybody totally confused, especially if you're a beginner. And the main goal is to bring new beginners in to assembly language for the color computer. It's not to scare them off. So I think we're going to start again. Step back, very beginning, and just bring it forward. If you're experienced on computers, you can just skip this and delete it and go on and do something else. But for beginners, let's just kind of move forward and see where we get. Okay, begin again. It'd be easier if I knew what the audience was. Are we dealing with first time ever people?
Anyway, just that kind of covers what this first episode about. We're just kind of just going through the basics of assembly language, etc. And actually in the chat here, kind of timely, is Fred Provancha, who's been working on his CoCo 3 game that's been on hold for like 3 decades, I think. And Dark 3, is it what it's called? I'm hopefully remembering the name of it correctly here, but he did his very first machine language routine himself with some help from people in the chat. So that's another resource besides George's series that he's going to be doing here. And George is also on our Discord too, so you can probably still ask him questions there as well. But Fred got a fair bit of help from people in the chat of various people. I think William Astor was one of them. I think Dave Veery was helping out as well. Just trying to accelerate some of his basic program with some little machine language substitute, which is how I first learned assembly language too. I did the same thing. I wrote the main game in basic, and I had one routine to speed up one critical thing. And I think that's one of the easiest ways to do it because it gives you the best bang for buck. You feel like you really accomplished something when you see something scrolling or whatever you're accelerating. But definitely check out his series. He's, as he mentioned before, it's not on a fixed schedule. It'll just be when he gets time to do them type thing and gets enough done of an episode to make a full episode. But he definitely knows his stuff. He's been doing assembly language since the late 60s on mainframes and stuff. So, and he's done CoCo stuff, like he did the pack utility for OS9 back in the 80s that I used quite a bit actually back in the day. So he definitely knows his stuff. Tier City Retro Programming on YouTube has also put up another video of his Tales of Suburbia game project. This time he's talking about placing the rocket in the launcher. So he's been kind of like going through how he builds up the game as he goes here. And the ultimate goal of the game, I believe, is to get this rocket launched. And it's kind of a graphical adventure game with some arcade elements to it. And basically, it's Tales of Suburbia. So you're in suburbia and you're just doing regular life things, but you're a kid who's trying to get his model rocket launched. So he's just working on the final scenes here for when you win the game. And it's a multi-part. He's basing it on tape, really going old school here. So he's got, I think, 4 parts that you can go through, and you have to solve the first part, then go on to the second part. You can save game states with each of the parts and stuff too. I won't play any of the example here, but this 20-minute long video, but you can see a screenshot there. For the audio listeners, it's kind of a grass background with some colored trees, and then a launch pad with a little model rocket, and your little characters right over there. You know, it's just put the rocket on the launch pad. Next up, we've got Ken. He's got a little bit of a tutorial video, which I'll mute here if you want to just describe what your video is about.
It's making your CoCo 3 have all kinds of pretty colors.
Like your shirt?
Exactly. You could make your CoCo 3 look just like my shirt.
I think we need a much wider palette gamut for that, don't we?
Basically, it's just going through how to use the palette command to change the screen and the foreground and background colors. And then going and how to actually change the palettes in some games. Now, I did mess up, and I do have a note in the instructions on in the description that on some games the palettes are at 4 through 7, whereas I just talk about the ones that are 0 through 3. So,
yeah, the 2 color sets.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the unsung advantages that the CoCo 3 as an upgrade had over some of the other machines when they got their upgrades, especially in the 8-bit era. Because when you got a CoCo 3, it was like 98% backwards compatible with existing games. And in fact, you can raise that a bit. There's a few tricks that with the gaming we've discovered to get semi-graphics games at least partly working. And Dick uses that. He programs them newly now, so they work fine on both systems. But you can actually play some of the stuff like the original Neutroid. You could actually try playing with the some of the tricks on the gimme. But one of the nice things was when you got a CoCo 3 out of the box, it's almost like you got new versions and upgraded versions of games if you knew tricks like this. Because if you were saying, like, we were playing Lunar Rover Patrol recently on the Game On Challenge, and the colors, I mean, they picked what they could pick from, right? You know, they picked the green, yellow, red, blue, which doesn't look very moonish or lunarish play-wise, but you can actually change palettes. And the nice thing about the CoCo 3 is that you can change the palettes on the existing CoCo 1 and 2 games, whether it's P-Mode 3 games or semi-graphics games or whatever. In fact, on Composite, you can even change the artifacting ones too. But it allows you to upgrade the game to look better, even though it's the same resolutions. Like Puyan, Nick and I experimented a while ago, and we actually got it pretty close to the arcade. Could have got it even closer if some of the colors have been swapped. You also have the option if games were too slow, you can do the double speed poke, because all CoCo 3s are guaranteed to run at 1.78 megahertz RAM and ROM. Well, I guess the ROM's not enabled technically, but so you got a way to speed up existing games if they could use the speed up. You got a way to change the colors and display colors of the way the games look, even text games like you're seeing on the screen now. He's got white on black text. You can simulate an amber monitor, green screen monitor, etc. And of course, those work on the new CoCo 3 modes too, as Ken demonstrates a bit later in the video, covering the 40 and 80 columns, which is different palette settings. But it was like free upgrades for a bunch of things, because you could change the colors of games so they look better. You could change the speed if the game was a bit too slow, like stuff like Color Car Action or Marble Madness and that kind of stuff. And it was like a free upgrade to your existing library, as well as, you know, you could start programming for the CoCo 3 specifically. And that was one nice thing that I don't think a lot of the other machines did. Usually if they had some new modes, it was only the new modes you can take advantage of whatever extra hardware they did in their upgrade. Well, we got to upgrade our existing stuff. I'm trying to think, like Mark Overhose or others here that are much more cross-platform familiar than I am. Did any of the Apples or Commodores and stuff actually let you upgrade your existing games basically for free?
Upgrade them as in you could get like
and enhancing the visuals and running them faster if they're too slow, that kind of thing.
No, not really. I mean, there were add-on hardware for the Commodore and the Apple which speed stuff up. There was different CPUs you could throw in the Apple to increase the speed, and there was something for the Commodore. I have one. It's called what is it? I can't remember what it's called. It's a box that plugs in and it runs at a faster rate. So I mean, it'll run your software faster in a lot of cases, but I'm sure it has limitations. But
and Ken, from your experience, like with Ataris and
not really. I mean, you can do this basic stuff of changing the screen color on certainly on the Commodores with a few different pokes, but
now would that work? Like if you were trying to change a game?
Don't think you can do it right in a game. Not that I know of, but I don't know that much about Commodore programming.
I don't think the Commodore 64 or the Atari 800s ever got an upgraded version of that hardware. Like, I mean, Commodore 64, there was the Commodore 128, but the 128 in Commodore 64 mode was exactly the same. They didn't really upgrade it. Whereas on the CoCo, we had the CoCo 1 and 2, but when the CoCo 3 came out, it was really an upgrade of the CoCo 1 and 2. It was CoCo 1 and 2 plus extras.
Yeah, and some of those extras applied back to the CoCo 1 and 2 software.
That's right.
They worked. That's what a lot of other machines did not do, except for maybe like speed.
Yeah, well, whereas there isn't a Commodore 64 plus. Well, not officially anyway. There isn't an Atari 800 plus. That the upgrades they did there were, with the Atari were just extra RAM. But that nothing with the video or
the Apple did have extra video modes. It's like the original Apple II. The original Apple II only had 4 colors: black, white, and green and purple. And then the modified version, the Rev 1 board of the Apple II, had 2 additional colors: blue and orange. And then all the way through the Apple II Plus, that was pretty much what they had. And then, well, that was for high res. Low res had 16 colors. When they got to the Apple IIe, then there were ability, not the original Apple IIe, but the Rev B board of that, which came out only months after it was released, had what they called double extended graphics. And so they used extra memory, and they had 16 colors in high res. So at that point, you had the original low res, the original high res, and then the double high res. And then when you get to the Apple II GS, not only did you get better graphics modes yet, and I guess the processor ran at 2.67 megahertz or something like that. You also had the Ensoniq sound chip. So for the Apple II, yeah, there were different models that had extra features. So
in the GS mainly.
Yeah, the GS mainly. GS was the real big leap. So
yeah, but even the GS, I guess you could increase the CPU speed and play an old game, like if you wanted to speed up.
Yeah.
Something.
Almost,
so that
it's just like
qualify.
using the speed poke on the CoCo.
Yeah. So they had the equivalent of that, but I don't think you could actually affect the palettes of an existing game if you thought the colors should be a little bit different or better.
Yeah, I don't think that, because the video chip was the video is all memory based. It's not so much chip based. So yeah, it's hard to like move to the palette hacks we do on the games on the CoCo now.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember if the 2GS actually had palettes. Like that you could reset the paddle. I thought it did.
I thought it did, yeah.
I think it does. That's right. You have like 64 colors. You can pick 16 out of the 64. And the double extended graphics might have that too. I haven't really played with them that much on the Apple.
Yeah, because the C64 I don't believe had palette registers. I think you had a fixed 16 color palette that you could choose
Yeah, it
from.
was fixed. Yeah, all the way. Unless you went to the unreleased Commodore 65, but that wasn't released.
Yeah, and the Commodore 128 added like 80 columns, and it added a Z80, didn't it? Because it could run
Yeah,
CPM.
I don't think they added colors though. I think the colors were still the same.
I just sorry, go ahead.
Those extra CPUs were all almost like a separate computer. I don't think they.
Right.
Yeah, they weren't really part of the one design. Whereas the CoCo 3, I think, was a good upgrade of the 1 and 2. It was very smart.
Yeah, because it gave you upgrades to your existing stuff, and it was just like the other thing Tandy did smart. And you won't hear me say that too much about Tandy's, commercialism. But one thing they did start doing too was releasing cartridges with fat binaries, with a CoCo 1.2 version plus a CoCo 3 version with enhanced graphics or sound or whatever. And they did this with stuff like Arkanoid and Tetris and Sokobon and a few others. So if you add a CoCo 1 and 2, you buy that game, you play it, you like it, and then you upgrade to CoCo 3 a year later, you don't have to rebuy the cartridge. You plugged it in, all of a sudden you get a 16-color version of the game. And that was another nice little free upgrade feature. So that was actually one of the few times I would give them credit for really looking out for the consumer, really, because you would get bonus upgraded games. You could upgrade the games you already had with these color hacks and double speed, etc. So it was like you got a lot of value for your $199 or whatever it cost or $219, I guess, for the initial launch of the CoCo 3.
Well, when they designed the gimme chip, provided all these extra colors and resolutions, but the gimme chip also essentially emulated or also included the ability to act like a 6847 VDG and a SAM chip. The gimme chip was a new version of those plus extra.
Yeah.
And memory management, and it was quite a good upgrade, really. It was very well done.
And very well done for the backwards compatibility and enhancing backwards.
100% hardware compatible with
pretty well, almost, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's something we undersell as CoCo owners. I think that's not that common that happened. I mean, when you get to the PC line, of course, you upgrade 286 to a 386, you play the old games, they can run faster unless they're frame lock type thing. So you did get speed upgrades, but I think some of this other stuff, I guess technically if you can still run like an old EGA game or a CJ game on a VGA card type thing. So I guess they did do the backwards compatibility there. So I think the PC and maybe the 2GS is the only other machines I can think of besides the CoCo. Well, I guess the Mac, I guess, kind of did that too later on too when they switched color. But I think that's the only machines I can think of that really happened.
In the small 8-bit computers, it's not too many.
That's a feather in a cap for Tandy that, sometimes I myself don't even think about it, but actually they did pretty good. They did a pretty friendly upgrade, I would say.
I didn't have to buy anything new when I put my CoCo 3 in.
Yep.
It just worked. All my disk drives and printers and peripherals and accessories and even the tape thing still just worked.
Yeah,
that's right.
And software, except for some 64K programs that use that vector page RAM, which they didn't know existed before that because it didn't. Anything 32K and less pretty well worked. And some of the 64K ones that they didn't use that last 256 bytes, they worked too. And then, some other programs got patched pretty quickly. But anyway, if you want to see some of the palette tricks you can do on the existing CoCo 1 and 2 modes and even some of the CoCo 3 modes here for like text, etc., so you can pick whatever simulation of a type of monitor you wanted from back in the day. Or if you just want a color palette that just looks better to your eyes, then definitely check out Ken's video here. He's got examples for 4080 column, 32 column, color set 0, and his little note added on for color set 1 for changing existing P mode 3 and 1 games as well. You can even change the reset graphic colors for the the low res graphics that you ran on a 4K or 16K CoCo as well. So,
except for his shirt, that's not too good for my eyes.
He's going to flare up the color. He's got a few other colors hidden in there for you to see there, Nick. Next up, Jack Chadwick, who did the 2 survey polls on the Facebook CoCo group recently. One was, what was your best/favorite game for the CoCo 1, 2, and then the CoCo 3, and then what was the worst, is doing a new poll this week. And he's got the same subdivision between CoCo 1 and 2 and CoCo 3, except he's taking a bit of a different tack this time. He says, this week I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite game music-wise for the CoCo 1, 2, and the CoCo 3? And you can do this for, music in-game or music for introductions or, whatever. It doesn't have to be throughout the game, basically. And he picked Rupert Rhythm. He seems to be a real Nick fan because he was just harping on, some of Nick's older games too here. And he really likes Rupert Rhythm, which is, Nick's least favorite game. And then for the CoCo 1, 2, he picked Sea Dragon.
I have to send him another check. Damn it.
So before I go into the comments and see what some of the other people have responded here, I was going to do a survey of the panel and of the chat if you're in there and want to pipe it in there too. What game do you think on the CoCo 1 and 2, and what game on the CoCo 3 do you think had the best music as far as you're concerned? Whether it was intro music, dying music, in-game music. There's not too many of those in the CoCo 1 and 2. There's a fair number in the CoCo 3. On the panel first, I guess. What do you guys think?
Nick, seriously, a guitar?
I put a message in there saying, what about my Jumping Joey? That's a CoCo 1 and 2, in-game music, 2-channel.
Yep.
With envelope.
And there's not a ton of in-game music on CoCo 1 and 2 games. I'm trying to think, like Grabber, Crazy Painter, like Cornsloft / Computer Shack / Mictron. Jumpin' Joey, so that's 3. There's Cuthbert Goes Walkabout. That's another one. Yeah, there's not a ton that do in-game while you play music, unless you have sound speech back. Then you can include a bunch like Pitfall 2, etc. But Ken, what's your favorite for music, since you're a bit of a game player yourself?
Geez.
Could be just you like the theme music or whatever too. It doesn't have to be.
I've always liked the beginning of Sea Dragon.
Okay, so that's one of your votes then.
The shanty music.
Yeah, I like the welcome board captain. I like the fact that he taps his foot while the music's playing too. It's kind of animated and plays his accordion. And now on the CoCo 3, what do you think has the best music on the CoCo 3? Please don't say Rupertitus.
I'm gonna say 0 Hour, whenever he's falling and when he dies and it goes really. It's not really music, but
that's not.
Yeah,
music.
actually, we should ask Jack. Do you include really good sound speech and sound effects as music? But
Gunstar with the MP3 card that unreleased.
Yeah, or even the ARC 90 one. Okay, while you guys are thinking, because apparently you're slow on this, I'm going to go back to the chat.
We're sleeping.
It's not like there's like 600 games to think about, and which ones did you like the best for the music? And
well, there weren't that many with music, really.
CoCo 3, there was a fair bit. So what we got in the chat so far? Fred Bravanja said Super Pitfall was good. Xenix was good, and that played fuller voice music, the entire time at full throttle. Crystal City doesn't have music in the background; it has good sound effects. So I don't know if I want to qualify. Dave says Space Pirate Kimiko had the best music. Smiley face. I think that pretty well required the hardware card, though, doesn't it? Fred Pravanja, Pack Dude. I'm assuming it means Pack Dude 3D Monster Maze, because that did too. That had several different tracks depending on whether you had the Energizer enabled or not. And that's with full 4-way hardware scrolling on top of it. That was a pretty good one. Fred Pravanja for the CoCo 2, I agree with Sea Dragon. Dave says, I also have a keytar.
You poor man.
Karen says, I mean, from earlier, the little intro from Lunar Rover Patrol is in my head again. That is good because it's single voice, but it's smoothed over. It's not like a play command or a sound command. It's actually a decent quality musical tone. And it actually plays little bits from the actual arcade game, just not multi-voice at that point. Dave's mentioning King's Quest 3. That had some music in the intro, single voice, but also smoothed over, so that would qualify. Lisa Larry did as well. 60 says, I hear Blockdown cartridge plays some music. Yep, that it does, as does his Dungeons. The ones that I would personally add for CoCo 1 and 2, Grabber's still my all-time favorite because that's simultaneous along with the gameplay, and it's a unique game. It's not a clone of something, so that one I really like that one. CoCo 3, my favorite by far would be Photon, because it has multiple tunes, digitized speech. The game runs dead smooth and fast, and it's another original game that doesn't exist anywhere else, even though there was a PC clone later on. Other ones like Contras, because it actually doesn't use just the 4-voice music routines we're used to hearing, like from Music or Lara or something like that, but actually has semi-digitized drum effects and stuff playing in it. So that one is really good, and that plays simultaneously while you're playing with multi-channel sound as well, including added sound effects. Stuart Orchard's Return of the Beast on the CoCo 1 and 2 has awesome music at the beginning. It's kind of like, I think, almost like a SID chip emulation with 3 voice, if I remember correctly, during the intro. Fire Force on the Dragon, that's another one that has really good music with sort of Sid style, percussion effects, etc. too, not just musical notes. The other ones that everybody else has mentioned, I would include in those too. Trying to think of any others. Sorry?
Two had good intro.
Pipes.
What was that,
Pipes. Pipes.
Yeah, Pipes. Yeah, that's another one with multi-channel on CoCo 1 and 2. I mean, there's some that had good, intro tunes. There was even some graphical adventure games had 4-voice music mixed in. There's even a bit of music in Dallas Quest, including some very badly played horn music. One I remember is in the chat not the chat, in the comments here was Draconian they mentioned, which as far as I know is original tunes. Like Mike Huey actually wrote those songs himself, and he had some pretty good intro music there too. So let's go to the chat comments here, or the comments on the post here. Let's go back to all comments. So Brian Palmer agreed with Rupert Rhythms. Geez, that's a popular game in Australia, Nick. What did you do? Did you put something in the water?
Some damn guitars, I tell you.
One thing I will say about Nick's game is that it actually has a concert at the end. Once you assemble all the notes together, it's a percussive concert, but it's a whole song kind of written by him. But almost nobody's ever seen it because it's too hard, and you have to wait too long for elevators. Sean Wheeler said Draconian for the CoCo 2. There's multiple votes for the Sea Dragon intro stuff, as Ken had mentioned as well. I mentioned Grabber, Fire Force, Return of the Beast, Photon, Contras. Alan DeCock says Photon was a great game. I'd love to replay it or get a remake. Jack Chadwell says he was expecting Grabber to make it into the top. Other people thought that Grabber got too monotonous with the music and they shut it off.
It did, yeah.
See, I didn't have that problem because Grabber, every time you got to a bonus round or the next different maze, the music changed. So if you were good enough to get past, level 1 or 2, you'd get different songs as you were progressing in the game. Now, if you never got past like the second or third screen, it's the same one all the time. So yeah, I can kind of see that.
Problem is the song, after the first 5 seconds, it just sounded like the same beat over and over and over.
Yeah, it was a repeating theme for each of the tunes. Yeah. Music in RoboCop, I said, is one of the worst because it was kind of like almost sound command style, a little bit better than that, but not by much. And it was just a single voice, really low pitch,
much better.
Repeating.
Did Predator have music?
I don't know. After my ears started bleeding after playing the game and my eyes started bleeding, I didn't really notice. Here's another one I should mention. Mark Malthus mentions CoCo 2's Shock Trooper. And that has really good music at the beginning. That's kind of got the V theme, but it's got a different envelope waveform than most of our 4-voice music in the CoCo 1 2 had. So that kind of a vibrato effect too is pretty cool. That was a good one. I forgot about that one. Zonk's Hand Down, Darren Ottery. That's a good one. That's another Rainbow type-in. That had really cool music. Almost sound effect music combination. I don't know if I'd strictly call it music, but it was really cool. I'm assuming most of you are familiar with that one. There's Nick, pimping his own games as usual.
You betcha. You can't argue quality.
Richard Kelly adds one that I think Nick would even agree with. Sailor Man.
Yeah, Sailor Man was good.
And I forgot about this one, Mary and the Butterflies, which actually had a previous beta version that was Mary and the Bees or something. There's 2 different versions of it, but basically, when Mary became active in the CoCo community after she inherited stuff from her dad after he passed away, Roger Taylor made kind of a tribute game for her. And that had some good 4-voice music. Actually, some of other Rogers games too, like Spider Hype and Spider Hyper, that has 4-voice running simultaneously while you're playing. It has a couple different songs in the game from when you finish the game and stuff too. And then Luke Auger, I think, misunderstood the question here because he picked Star Blaze and Speed Racer, and neither of those have music. I think he was just picking his favorite games.
Read the manual. Or the instructions for the chat.
Right.
Then back to the chat. Brian Walsh says it's not a game, but Color Quaver by Dennis Kitts was awesome. That was a 4-voice music editor with waveform editors and stuff too. 60 mentioned Super Kid also had pretty decent intro music. Same as Fire Force, so it was using that digitized style, almost Sid chip style. So you have percussion effects. Also had speech, where the guy actually tried to sing. So that's one of the few places with a digitized singing in it on the CoCo. Confirmation from Dave Veary on Draconian having great intro tunes. Dave also mentions Color Baseball. Dale Lear, of course, put in the anthem on that one. Done quite well, multi-voice. Yeah, multiple votes here for votes for Color Baseball.
Now, one thing with a lot of in-game music is it gets to be repetitive while you play, and after a while, you wish you could just shut the damn thing off. So,
yeah, I mean, you could say that about arcade games and other, Nintendos and stuff too, because I mean, they didn't write like 15 songs that play continuously. They have one 30-second song that repeats.
Useless.
Yeah, and it depends how good the music is. But like in Jumping Joey, what I did was I played the song once, and then I played it repeatedly over, but at half volume, so it didn't distract.
Yeah, and then your sound effects actually stand out more. It's not.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. It's not thumping in your head while you're playing.
Yeah, that was a good design you did there. I have to admit.
Yeah, I'll buy
and you have an option to turn it off as well. Anyway.
Yeah. I guess because I did hang out in arcades quite a bit in the late 70s and early 80s. Like that was the loudest part of the game was if it had music, it was cranked. So you could hear it across the entire arcade. And they were just short repeating songs too, because that's all you had the memory for back in those days. And I kind of got used to that, and it doesn't really bother me that much. There's a few games, if it takes a lot of concentration to play the game, then I'll want to kill the sound so I can concentrate better. But it doesn't really bother me much. I mean, once people got Commodore 64s and Atari 8-bits and stuff, they were so used to having background game music. When they came to the CoCo, they said, this is awfully quiet. There's just little ticks and bleeps and maybe an explosion or something. And the Apple II had the same problem, type thing.
When you have a sound chip, the quality of the sound is better. You can listen to that a bit more repetitive. But if they're just beeps and a bit scratchy, like a lot of them are on the CoCo, yeah, you start thinking, I don't want to listen to this.
Well, let's take a survey here as well. Now, we kind of covered some of the games everybody's mentioned for good music. How many people here prefer to play games, arcade style games, without music to distract you in the background? I would rather just have it either silent or just sound effects like shooting, etc. And how many would prefer having the background music for a theme?
I prefer.
Every game should have 2 volume controls.
Yeah.
Music, effects.
Agreed.
Good. Yep. Okay, Ken agrees with that. Nick, do you agree with that too?
Yeah. I prefer sound effects over music, but if it's music, it's got to be good music, and I do like the idea of having a separate volume on it.
Tom Eric Anderson in the chat is saying no music for me at all. So
music's good for the first 2 minutes and then shut it off.
And you slide that slider down.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of like the way that most CoCo games that did incorporate, especially CoCo 1 2 games that did incorporate music, they would have it as part of the intro screen or maybe the high score screen or something like that, where you're not doing anything else. You can just sit there and listen to the tunes. Sea Dragon's an excellent version of that because it actually runs through a few things and then talks and then goes back, has multiple songs that it plays. So I kind of agree with that. I'd rather play the game with sound effects so I can tell what I'm doing. Did I hit the button hard enough to actually get the shot off or whatever? And the music I do find distracting. There's a few exceptions. Moon Patrol in the arcade, that game would suck somewhat if it did not have that music. That just seems so much part of the game to me. It's a requirement.
If you click on the Jumping Joey link, you can see how it should be done.
There you go.
Gotta pimp the Nick.
You betcha.
Okay, we'll humor him today.
This is how it should be done, folks.
Now, since I haven't pre-loaded this on YouTube, we may get an ad. So I try to play them for a few seconds each, so we at least get the ad warnings out of the way first.
Let's see what Curtis is interested in.
You got to turn off the mute, yeah. Played by Buck Owens. because he can.
Sound coming through?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's your title page of music.
Yeah, let's go
Then when
into
you
actual game.
when you go into the game.
Now, I remember in the game you have one channel for music and one channel for.
No. The music can be 2 channels. The sound effects is a third channel, you could say. I think one of the tracks is only a 1 track.
Yeah, I think the first
channel,
level.
right?
This one is a 2.
But the others are 2, or at least they got a melody and a bass line. But the sound effects are a third. Well, it's a bit of a trick. It actually sacrifices one of the music channels to create the sound effect when it needs it, but it's done so quickly you don't really notice it.
Hey, there's our free plug for Nick again.
There you go. Look at that money rolling in.
And a flashback to my elementary school music class where we had to sing all of these songs.
Fred Provanja says the same thing in the chat that some of people on the panel have said, which is good sound effects are appreciated, but keep the music to just the intro. George Cuff says either way for me, so he's okay with music being throughout the game or just for intros. Mark Overoser says, sorry?
See the little letter M in the bottom of the Jumping Joey screen?
That's your music on off flag.
Yeah. If you press M, it goes red to turn the music off.
Nice.
The sound effects are still playing, but the music turns off.
Score.
Yeah. So Mark says sound effects can help with the game. The same music over and over and over and over and over can get too annoying. I agree.
Yeah.
That's why I like Grabber and Photon, because like on either of those, when you switch levels, the music changes. You might loop back 4 or 5 levels later, but at least you have some variety. And
So
then
if you're not
60
very
says
good
much
at
cleaner tones than when I play it on my machine. And that's because he has a Dragon 64, which they screwed up the design of the horizontal sync by shutting it off during a vertical refresh.
Well, yeah.
And then Wayne Campbell says, I've just always had this knack for tuning the music out. I hear it playing, but I'm not focused on it. I guess that's kind of what I got used to, too. But there are times when if the music's really overpowering, and this is in arcade games or in other platforms as well, that I do start finding it a distraction. I would rather just have the darn thing off. Okay, now, Nick, you can talk a little bit about this one, too, even though it's not directly involving you. But Robert Galt made a surprise announcement this past week on the CoCo group on Facebook that EdTASM 609, which is the EdTASM patch for CoCo 380 columns, a bit more RAM, 609 support, etc., is now free on the archive instead of being a commercial product. And as he put in his post on Facebook, I did not want this very powerful package to be lost, and I have not sold it in years. And he's including versions for emulators and versions for the Becker ports and 80 column and 609, everything else here. So it's already on the archive. He actually put this announcement up after it got approved. And Nick, you're one of the people I know that uses this the most.
Well, I bought this ages ago, way back in pre-2000. I think my first game was Pac-Man. When I did Pac-Man, I bought EdTASM 6309 from Robert, and I've been using it ever since. So maybe I'm the only person that's used it since then. I don't know. But
there's a couple of people in the comments that did mention they still use it, and there's a few people that mentioned they bought it and haven't used it in a while, but they did use it back in the day.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that bought it then too.
Bought it too.
Yeah. No, I've been using it ever since. It's my
all your games have been done on it, right?
Everything from Pac-Man onwards, yeah.
Including the one we just pimped out here.
That's right.
By the way, Kieran in the chat is saying Blockdown, which is his advanced Tetris, varies the music. Has anybody gotten to the last tune? I did not know that, so no, I haven't.
Nope.
And Dave says this EdTASM is a great way to start. I also bought this.
And the fact it supports 6309 as well. So
yeah, though it has some quirks.
It has a few. And there's been a few quirks over the years, or even some little bugs. But Robert Galt, every time I mentioned it to him, he would fix it straight away. So,
yeah, he's really good with patching things as soon as bugs are discovered.
So as far as I'm concerned, the version that I've got at the moment that I use, it seems to be bug-free. I mean, everything seems to be working for me.
Yep. I'm trying to remember, what was the last bug we found? There was some 639 instruction was wrong or something, wasn't it?
Oh, well, he's got a few of those which are different to what you see in certain...
Well, he's got the different mnemonics because of the way the EdTASM assembly works. Like TFRP instead of TFM, like every other assembly.
TFM and all that.
But I thought within the last couple of years, we actually found a few bugs that he had to fix.
Yeah, there were a few, and I've forgotten what they were, but I just mentioned it to him, and he fixed them. You know, a day later, he sends me a new version. So
for those of you wanting to learn assembly language for Disk Basic and have a CoCo 3, this is an excellent one because it gives you full 80 columns by 28 lines too, doesn't it?
Yeah, the version I've got, that was actually one of the things I did ask him if he could add, because it was 24. And I said, oh, can you make it support 225 scan lines and get the extra lines? And he did.
Yep.
So
I don't know a lot of code on the screen ones.
Yeah, so I don't know if the version he's uploaded is that version, but that's the version he made for me a while back. So I'm running a 28-line display.
I'd assume it is, but anyway, those who want to follow George Janssen's assembly language tutorial there, because he'll be doing his stuff in Disk Basic as well, then that's perfect. If you wanted to do some of the Chibi Akuma stuff that we mentioned last week, where you just did stuff on how to work with files, etc., you can use that assembler too.
The whole thing is based on the original Tandy EdTASM, really. So
yeah, which was originally by Microsoft, the first version.
Yeah, that's right. So it's basically that with a lot of patches and updates and extra features put in. 609, like I said.
Yep, the 80 by 28 tech support. That's
so it's a very CoCo development environment, I guess. That's the other thing why I like about it. It feels like I'm programming the CoCo.
Yes, you are.
That's right. Rather than some IDE on some 3 gigahertz PC and all that, which makes me feel like, why am I writing this little game on a machine that's vastly superior to what I'm doing? Whereas at least on the CoCo, I know that I'm programming a machine on an old 80s computer, and to me that's more wow.
Yeah, I mean this is different for everybody, because I know some people that absolutely hate going back to the old tools, and they want LWASM that'll assemble it and create a disk image and launch an emulator all within 2 seconds flat. And I do understand that, because on some very large projects I have done that myself. You also got the option in emulators, you can use the old tools but just overclock it, shut off any lock to 60 hertz type thing, like I do in MAME, for example, when I'm using OS9 assemblers, and then it runs fairly fast. I'm already in the disk image, so I don't have to launch an emulator again because I'm already in it. And of course, if you're doing just quick, dirty stuff on the CoCo itself, I tend to use, the assemblers built into included with the CoCo stuff too. So it's basically whatever floats your boat. If you want to get into assembly language, I don't think any of us are going to disparage you from trying any way, shape, or form. If you want to use LWASM or GCC, C compilers or CMOX or whatever cross-platform tools you want to use, or if you want to do native stuff like the C compiler, EdTASM, ASM, RMA, there's a bunch of options there too. Flex has a couple. I can't remember if Mike used one. He could probably tell us. But there's no wrong way to CoCo as far as that goes, whatever you're comfortable with. And if you're doing a smaller project, just learning assembly language, you probably don't need the extra speed of running a cross-assemble. You won't be saving that much from running it on a real CoCo or running it on an emulator.
The sign of a real programmer, a CoCo programmer, running EdTASM. There you go. That's like having hair on your chest, right?
I still prefer ASM and RMA myself, but
how much pain can one take?
CRMA.
Yep. Well, Nick's in the case, if you want to go really retro, you have to run EdTasm off tape using the cartridge version in 32 columns only.
I did that on the TRS-80 Model 1, and I swore never again.
So when you first did Neutroid, which is your first CoCo game, were you running disk EdTasm already at that point?
No, it was everything I did on the model.
No, Neutroid on the CoCo.
Oh, Neutroid, yeah, I was on disk then.
Oh, okay. Series and disk. Okay.
It's when I went from the TRS-80 to the CoCo, I swore that if I'm going to get a CoCo, I am not going to use tape. And I just bought a disk drive straight away.
So you got this jewel here?
Hang on, I can't quite see.
I'm coming.
Oh, too little.
Here, I'll stop sharing too.
Screen moved on me.
Oh yes, I've got that. Yes.
Yeah, this thing.
It's a good little book, that.
Oh yeah.
That's the disc version, or is that the cartridge version?
Yeah, no, that's the disc.
The disc.
Oh right, yeah. Cartridge was a little cardboard cover, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of funky. But yeah, this was my introduction to real software.
Yeah. So I've got that, and I've got the EdTasm 6309, and the addendum that you get with it.
Yeah. Couple more comments in the chat concerning assembler. So Peter Willard says, right, LWASM is not a bad way to go if you use 6-8 Dev 09. It even feels like a CoCo. And he says, I pulled my hair out learning with EdTasm. Dave says, disk EdTasm 80 column mode works really well. Wayne Campbell says, I would probably be more interested in learning assembly if I could learn it under Nitrous 9. That is a planned CoCoTECH segment. So keep your ears open. Yeah, and I will try. I won't be using RMA off the start. I'll probably just using ASM because I want to be able to apply for people that are running on Dragons as well as CoCo 1s and 2s with OSN level 1. So ASM works on all of them. So that's probably what we'll be doing for the first few anyway. Mikey. Oh, I didn't realize Mikey was in the chat. I got disk EdTasm at the local electronic flea market, and my life has never been the same since.
We feel so sorry for you.
I remember, like, I don't think I ever had the EdTasm cartridge. A friend of mine did, Dwayne Downing. But when Roger Schrag published in Rainbow his patches to the cartridge version to get it to run off disk before Tandy released the disk version, I did use that.
Actually, yeah. When I first got my CoCo, the CoCo 2 way back then, 84, I bought the EdTasm ROM pack, yes. And I tried to do, well, that's where I started learning 6809 because 6809 was new to me. So that's what I started on. But when I started developing Neutroid, yeah, I'd said no cassettes. So I went straight to
I mean, we had one of the better cassettes out of all the 8-bit machines. 1500 baud was a pretty decent speed. Some of the others ran at 3 and 5, but it's still
a cassette.
Yeah. I mean, you get a tape that got a little bit crinkled, and all of a sudden you lost your code. I mean, I guess you could like spill a coffee on a disc too, but and then the CoCo disk system, especially compared to some of the other 8-bit machines, was actually quite fast, which was nice too, because it seemed so much better than even some of the other disk systems. But I got really spoiled when I got into OS 9 and a hard drive. Oh my God. And now that seems pathetically slow compared to cross assemblers. The times change, folks. That's all I can tell you.
It does?
Yeah, Nick wouldn't know because he's still running EdTasm.
Probably why I never see any bugs.
Yeah, could be related. James Jones says, yeah, CoCo disk is infamously faster than C64. I remember the comparison was we could load Zaxxon from tape faster than C64 could load it from disk.
Bob was showing us the PCB, but it was a blank one. He's got a second board. Or did he just pop out all the chips off the board he sold?
He ripped them all off and...
Actually, yeah. Do you have an update there, Bob? Because I haven't actually had a chance to watch. I'll stop sharing so we can get an update from Bob live. You want to highlight him there, Mark?
Yep. There we go.
over, under, upside down. Okay.
Basically, I've been,
it's the underside.
I was
Okay.
doing a bunch of scoping signal lines everywhere, and I'm getting, you know, active data lines, active address lines. Everything seems normal, but every video output line is just held high for some reason. So what I'm going to do next is put these chips in my other working color computer. I'm going to make sure that the processor is good, and
PIAs.
I can't try the PIAs because those are soldered in still, but
a lot of things, right?
I noticed that this processor was getting pretty warm after a while, which maybe that's normal, but I just want to verify.
Is that a 6809 or 639?
This is a 68B09.
Okay, so 2 megahertz rated 689. That probably does get a little bit warm.
Yeah.
So that PCB has all the component layout on the underside.
No, it's you just can't see it.
Oh no, I didn't see it right. Okay.
Couple of comments in the chat here on EdTasm. I'll just catch those up while we're here. Also on cassette versus disc. Peter Willow says, my goal in learning EdTasm was to do Colin Stearman's Cooking with Coco series, and that's where he created a whole alternate DOS ROM. That was a really good series, actually. He's actually an English fellow, too. He's actually from England. He moved to the States, and that's when he was doing the series for Rainbow. 60 says, of course, a BBC Micro could load a game off tape faster than I can load the Dragon version of Galagon off tape because it's saved as separate blocks for reasons best known to the people profiting off tape length. That was one thing, if I remember. And Nick, is it still the case with Robert's version where EdTasm would create the separate little 256 blocks with the headers as to where to load each block, even if it didn't need to?
I don't know.
Because there's one thing that bugged me about the original color disc EdTasm, because you would, if you had a program that was, say, 8K long, it would save a little header. You know, this block's going to load at 2000. This one's going to load at 2100. This one's going to load at, like, it had the little header blips for every single 256 byte block, as opposed to just saving as one continuous one, which takes out all the headers and speeds up the load because it's shorter.
You're talking about cassette.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't do much with cassette. I was pretty well dead against cassettes.
Okay. Because I do remember that was annoying as hell. But I think even the disc versions did that too. I mean, it slows down the load a little bit, makes the file a bit bigger than it needs to be, because it has to insert those little preamble, postamble crap.
But that's, again, if you're saving to cassette, is it?
No, I remember the disc version saving the preamble blocks on disc 2, the original color EdTasm.
I don't know. I don't
and
see.
There's a reason that's there, because you can actually have a program that's not contiguous. You can split it up, like here's a screen, and then I'll skip 5K, and here's the code or whatever. But it did that whether you needed it or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I was just adamant not to use cassettes.
Okay. Well, as Bob's going through and testing some chips back and forth here, we'll go back and finish off the rest of the news. Okay, so that's Bob's story. Anyway, it's available. The CoCo 3 version of EdTasm with the 639 enhancements is available on the Collectible Archive even as we speak. Been on there for a couple days, so you can go grab it, free download. There's a bunch of different versions included for like Becker ports and emulator specific and real CoCo 3s, etc. So I think it's even CoCo 1 and 2 version with 639 support, if I remember, isn't there? Did you take a look, Nick?
I never really looked at that. I just run that one version, CoCo SDC version.
Okay. I think I remember seeing those in the directory when I extracted, but I didn't get a chance to run any of them.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Simon Jonason is working on a new online graphics editor for the CoCo graphics modes, which will allow exporting for both the CoCo Dragon and the MC10 Alice. Using the 4 color modes, you'll notice it says here CSS 0 and CSS 1. That's the color selection. So that's which base colors you get in the 2 color sets. The ones that Ken was mentioning actually earlier here. So you can actually do this designing on, once he gets this done here, you can basically design your own screens and then export the data out. You can export it as 609 or 6309 data statements or code to draw it or whatever else. So that'll be a good tool for those who wanted to do some graphics for the CoCo 1.2 and the Alice and MC10. So we'll keep you posted as that goes. Sorry?
That'll be a handy little program, yeah.
Yeah. I think there was a semi-graphics editor.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, actually. I thought he did a semi-graphics one.
Yeah, he did.
Couple of years
but this is
ago.
actually to do the P mode 1, P mode 3 type stuff. Richard Kelly, back to ASM again. ASM SFX routine version 1.0. All this routine does is play ML sounds from a buffer. By default, page 1 of the graphics screen is used for sound data, so that's about 1.5K. Cassette buffer holds the actual ML routine, so you'd probably be running it from disk. And feel free to distribute it. He's mentioned in the comments already that he's going to do some tweaks and changes to it, but basically it's a way to do sample digitized sound effects. And you can just call this with an exec after you load the sound data into the first page of the P-mode graphics. And then if you're doing your graphics game, you can just do a P-clear 5 and then start on page 2 for the displaying, leaving that 1.5K free for digital sound effects. And then you just exec this little routine and you can play them from your basic program. So anyway, he's working on an update to it already too. So, but if you want to try it out now, it's functional. Now, this is an interesting one. For those of you more familiar with VCC and some of the changes that have been done in VCC recently, Michael Evanson posted in the VCC channel on Facebook, "Hi, I am working on my own emulator for the 609, and I noticed that the code in VCC that handles the TFM does not handle incrementing and decrementing of the source and destination registers properly. I've tested this on Real 639 and discovered that the registers get updated as they're used and not at the completion of the memory transfer cycle. This also affects interrupts. That when you interrupt the TFM copying from, say, X plus to Y plus, the interrupt comes in between the read and the write, which if you're just copying memory usually is okay, unless you've modified that memory in the meantime. But it sucks when you're trying to read and write off peripherals, because you might read a byte off of a disk controller, and then it'll tell it to go back and reread that byte before it actually does the write. And if you're trying to read, from an I/O card or something like that, like a disk sector buffer, it basically eats the one byte because it never gets stored, and then proceeds to read the next byte. So it actually corrupts the data. And that was a big problem we discovered early on the 609. Both Chris Burke from Power Boost and us had that problem. We were trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But anyway, back to his comment here. So, and he mentions that this is a situation that he tried that I have not tried before. So this is interesting. This means that if the source and target registers are the same, for example, TFM X plus, X plus, the emulator will produce incorrect behavior. VCC does the read and write before updating the registers. This is not how the real 609 does it. He gives some sample pseudocode to actually try it out, C code, I guess. He said, this is what the output should look like. Given the memory content, is this before time? So basically, if he's copying 16 bytes, and he gives the example, he preloads all those data bytes at X to be 01, 02, 03, up to 10. And he says, executing TFM X plus, X plus, where X is pointing at the memory location, starting that pattern, it should yield this, which is what he got from a real 609 from testing. 0101, 0303, 0505, 0707. So basically it does the duplication between. So basically it will eat the result of the second byte before it even gets a chance to go anywhere. But VCC is not doing that. It actually just shifts them over. So he's got some suggested changes that he's mentioning here on the Flex user group and also on the SWTPC. So he's been using some other 6809 based systems and other 6809 based operating systems. But that sounds like a bug that probably should be fixed in VCC. I know there was some other issues before, but and I know they've been actively fixing stuff on VCC the last while. So hopefully whoever's currently doing it, I think it's what is his name? He has a beard.
Rick.
Not Jay.
No,
not
my
that.
fault. Not my fault.
Not that big of a beard. It's not Jay Cyril. It's shoot. My apologies. I'm forgetting his name. EJ something, I think. But hopefully he's gotten a chance to read this on Facebook and can work on fixing that little thing, because I don't know if a lot of programs that would be pulling off that type of a stunt in particular, but it would be nice to have it as accurate as possible. Now, next up, Mr. Dave. So he's been working on some patches to basic, and this is still a work in progress too, but he's actually got a beta of this you can download off the CoCo Discord. And basically he's replacing, I think it's the print using code, because he considers it pretty useless. No, so this you'd only use if you're not using print using in your code, because otherwise it'll get corrupted. But basically he's been adding and changing the functions of some of the commands in basic to speed them up and to add new functionality with speed. So the stuff that he's been mentioning that he's been speeding up so far has been stuff like set, print, joystick, and he's doing that. The joystick one is basically it's not doing a full read of all possible 64 values, because most games generally tend to be, I need to go left, I need to stay centered, or I need to go right, for example. You don't need all 64 variable in between. So if you're running a game like that, that'll speed up the joystick read a fair bit. He's also got stuff like double peek and double poke, so you can poke 2 bytes at a time. You can peek 2 bytes at a time, so you can get a 16-bit register equivalent or an integer. So that helps. And he's got a new fast copy RAM command. And he's got versions of these for both the CoCo 1 and 2. If you have 64K, so it'll copy the ROMs to RAM and then patch basic there. Or you're on the CoCo 3, since it already boots up in all RAM mode, it'll just patch it in place. And this one here is just doing a bit of a demo, and he kind of mentioned I should start it roughly around here. So basically he's going to be copying from upper memory in the MMU somewhere onto the text screen using the copy F command that he's added. So he's doing a 200 plus 400. These are all hex values too, just to make it faster. Not have to convert from decimal. Come 05, come 0400, comma 38 exclamation mark. And he's punching that into a program. So he's actually going to run the program to show it running. And you can see how fast it just blasted that little picture of a dog on the semi-graphic screen, just using the copy F command. And you can use this on graphic screens. You can use it if you want to back up memory in different spots. Like I know Fred Provancha was trying to L poke and L peek a bunch of extra data that wouldn't fit in the 32K for basic. This is an excellent way to do that, because you can just blast it in and out, whenever you need, a certain amount. And if you learn how to use var pointer command and stuff, so you can actually figure out where your strings are stored, you can actually blast it into variables if you need to. And then you can write a basic program that you may say a semi-graphics based graphical adventure game. You could put a whole bunch of different pictures of scenes that take up, say, half a screen, so a quarter of a K, fill up 64K of those in upper RAM on a CoCo 3, and use this command to actually just load them as you go from room to room. It just blasts those graphics on the screen pretty well instantaneously, all in basic with this, change commands. So he's still got some tweaks to do. He's still got some stuff he's got to, fully debug and finish. But if you want to give it a shot and kind of see where he's going with it, you can get it on the CoCo Discord. I think in the basic channel, if I remember correctly. Next up, since we have Bob Emery actually on the show here, this is the stream he was simulcasting while we had the show last week. So we started before our show started, and he finished after our show ended, but we had little live updates from him. So the 5.5 hours of streaming goodness of building the CoCo 3 board he's working on now. So, Bob, did you have any comments on how the stream went for you last time? And also another update. How are you doing on your current one?
Well, I have verified that the processor is good. All the chips are good. All the signals that I'm looking at on my working CoCo look just like the signals I'm seeing on the one I built, except for the video outputs.
Okay, so that should narrow down where in the circuitry it is.
I mean, at least I can tell that things are working in the background, but I don't know why I'm not getting any output.
Okay. And any comments on the stream you did last week? Did that go like you expected it to, or did you get any comments from people other than people on the watching through the CoCo Nation show?
Actually, I'm still getting views on that, slowly racking up. I guess it went pretty well. Seemed like it was fairly popular for not really being a regular video, just being a lot of quiet soldering. I guess people can watch it and listen to your show too, so that helped.
There you go. Yeah, you were simulcasting our stream. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, because it looks like right now, this is as if I loaded the page, this morning, there's 90 views already on it. And for a 5.5 hour video, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And just from looking on the chat replay that I've got here, just from where I happen to have it paused, There's like comments from somebody named Albert Akjay, and I don't think that's one of our regular listeners. So that's somebody that was viewing you for seeing you do the hardware upgrade and not anything to do with the CoCo Nation fan.
I think on the day of, I had maybe 7 or 8 views. So
sweet.
Oh, and Rocky Hill, the author of the motherboard himself, was on there later on the show too. It looks like on the chat. So, did you enjoy doing it that way? Was this something you plan on doing more of, or was it kind of like distracting you from the work you're trying to actually do, or how did that go?
Well, actually, I think I like the live streaming better than editing videos.
I would definitely fall in that camp. Edit schmedit.
But yeah, the dead space is kind of hard to cope with, but apparently people don't mind it so much on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish Sloopy was here to talk about, but Ken probably can. Like, there's a lot of live hardware streams for people that are, experts on Commodores or experts on Apples or experts on PCs. And they seem to be pretty popular, and they go for 4 or 5 hours too. And it's a completely interactive thing with chat. Sometimes they'll even invite guests on just to comment on what they're doing. So they have their camera on their whatever hardware they're fixing up. And then the other people are commenting like, you should probably check that capacitor. That one tends to blow up, or that type of thing.
That is something I would actually probably enjoy, is having people giving me feedback on what to check or stuff like that,
Yeah. And I mean, I'm planning at some point of doing something like that with software. I'm actually just going to fire up Nitrous 9, have a couple of guests on, and then also have people in the chat, give suggestions like, how would I do this? And then just live demo, how do you do this in Basic 9? How do you do this in assembly type thing? So I'm hoping to do something similar in principle, but on the software side, because if I did hardware, it would just be hair on fire and melted circuit boards and blown chips.
I'm thinking I might do a little bit of both myself. I still want to do like maybe a multi-part live stream where I go over my color fog program and how some of the routines work and how I optimized it and stuff. I think there might be some value for some of the programmers out there.
Sounds like a CoCoTECH to me.
Yeah. I did get, and this is not a complaint against you, Mark, or anything. It just happens to be the way the chips fell this first few episodes, that some people are going, it's really hardware centric, is it? I'm not really a hardware guy. I got 2 comments actually on that, but that's just happens to be the shows that came up.
Right.
CoCoTECH is meant to be just technical. It doesn't matter if it's software, hardware, or maybe a programming philosophy even, or something, who knows.
Yep.
Just happened to be that all the hardware guys got in first.
Right.
Rick and I are going to be fixing that on Tuesday, so be there or be square.
But don't worry, I'll come up with some hardware and block it up again.
Well, wouldn't Drivewire be considered software?
But it's hardware too.
Yeah, that one's both, because it's relying on really good routines or possible chip upgrade to fix it on the CoCo 1 to get faster speeds of the Bitbanger.
Maybe that's what I need to do, is hook up a terminal to this.
There you go. Yeah.
You might need a special ROM to see anything on it, though, if you can't get that far.
Up. Oh, yeah, if you haven't already done your login to OS 9 thing ahead of time.
Like a ROM cartridge in.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That might actually help, depending on what went wrong.
See if audio comes out.
But motor on, motor off didn't work, so it is crashing at some point.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you're a really bad typer.
Right.
Or I have the keyboard slightly out of alignment in the socket.
Yeah, there's many.
Yeah, that's possible too. Anyway, on screen here from the author of the Athena board that Bob is literally working on even as we speak. He did a quick little YouTube short, I believe these are called. I hate them because they're vertically oriented.
Right.
But that's the way that YouTube does it. And this is actually the Athena board revision 1.2.0. Now, I don't know anything about this. I don't know if there's anything extra on it. Do you know anything about this, Bob?
I think it's mainly just he's gone through trying to make it closer match Tandy's original tracing.
Okay, because I didn't get a chance to watch it. I just saw it was there, so I put it in the news links, because Rocky's always really good with his videos. they're really on topic. So I'll just play it because it's short. It's not gonna be that long, so hopefully it won't take too long to play. And we'll discover what it is together, I guess. If it plays.
Oh yeah, short and wide, and then widened and shortened. So it'll be.
This looks like a YouTube ad coming on.
Postage stamp and a YouTube ad. Yeah.
This isn't even the right video.
No. Well, that didn't work.
The right title though.
I hate YouTube. Some days. Well, it's 1.1. That's the older board.
Oh, there we go.
We'll bump around a while and.
Good Lord, is it running slow?
Here we go. It's poorly formatted. Must be right.
Except now we're not getting sound.
Portrait, not landscape.
Where the hell's a sound button on this?
There isn't any.
There should be a volume control.
Top corner of the screen. No,
which top corner?
The microphone?
Yeah, it disappeared. Where did it go? Oh, that's because it was switching videos.
So when you click on the video itself, it seems to jump to another link of his.
Yeah, shorts won't wait.
But the mute button is in the top right hand corner because why not? It's in the bottom left hand corner on the regular videos.
With everything else, yeah.
Jesus. Or top right hand to bottom left, yeah, whatever. It's like.
Okay, so you're saying top.
Yeah, so it should be up right by yours.
I didn't click anything yet. What the hell is it doing?
It went spastic.
Rom, it's a short video.
Athena revision 1.2.0 CoCo 3 recreation motherboard. And when I say much anticipated, it's basically just me who was anticipating it, no one else. But anyhow, there are improvements to this one. Here's the original one, the 1.0.1.
Sound coming through okay?
Changes are that I changed the size of the board to better match the original board. The dimensions are better. It lines up much better. And the routing is much, much improved. I hand routed this board to better match the original routing. So there was no auto routing done here.
That must have took some work.
It's really nice. You can see it online.
Impressed.
I'll put the link in the description.
Yeah, I'll be buying.
Let's take the
one
top
of those, too.
off of the CoCo 3 here. And you can see there that everything lines up. At least the components I had pretty nicely. All I need now is a Gimme X. Go Athena. Here is the mud.
Cool. Okay, cool. So you guys were oohing and on about something, but you'll have to explain it to a non-hardware guy. What were you oohing and on about?
Well, because he hand routed this, he didn't let the machine just kind of do
Route
whatever
little
it wanted.
traces.
He did everything just like Tandy did. So this should be a very, very, very accurate recreation down to microsecond bus timings on the individual traces and so forth, because he's approximating the original length of every trace and the original routing of every trace. So
every trace he hand routed through, on that board.
To match what Tandy had done in the first place.
Yeah, as opposed to just letting that software automatically do it. He went and hand drew each one of these things.
Oh wow,
That's a
takes
lot
more
of
patience than I
traces.
have.
CoCo 3 board.
Now, why would he have done this? Is the auto routing in the software not that good? Is that why he would have done this, or is it just?
Well, no. This is an original CoCo, so any little timing imperfection between the traces is approximated on this board, where the auto router could have made a couple milliseconds here, a couple microseconds here. Who cares?
Which could potentially cause some problems on tightly timed stuff.
Right. Yeah. So it might be like an emulator that is quite right, but because it's hardware, you can't fix it. So by doing this, he's avoided a lot of problems, I think.
Yeah, and two traces that run next to each other can build up a capacitance.
Right.
That isn't on the original one.
And the timing is all different because the CoCo does not balance traces. You've got a short D1 and a long D7, and they don't care. Well, you need to reproduce that. So he's done that.
Well, at those speeds, sometimes it doesn't really matter.
But
at
sometimes it
2
does.
megahertz, you can get away with murder sometimes.
Right, but sometimes it does. So he's avoided that
He's
problem
being safe.
by, yeah.
Okay. Now we got a couple other motherboard bits here, and we've got some guests in the chat who'll be able to help me with some of this anyway. So the first one up is from Karen. His motherboard repro, I noticed he chose the same purple for the main one. But he said, basically working, although I need to figure out why the reset detection doesn't work as is, then move on to see if I can support address glitching. I don't know what he means by that. Edit, in case it's not clear, that's replacing the SAM, not piggybacked on top of it or anything. So he's basically duplicating the SAM chip, if I'm understanding this correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Karen. And then he's got a little video. I'm not sure what's in there, but we'll try playing it. That's still showing?
Went away. Back.
Okay, there's the infamous double speed poke on a CoCo 1.2 where the SAM and VDG can't talk to each other. It's too fast.
Pretty.
Yeah, and slow down poke and put it back to normal. And 60 says, yes, that is a replacement for the SAM. So there's another chip that's hard to get that the replacement. We've already got the salt and
the SAM.
So that's cool. I know there's a SAM doubler. Maybe we can incorporate that into a replacement SAM too. That Brandon Donaghy's done, where that double speed poke you saw that screwed up the screen refresh actually would still work if you had static RAM in there.
Well, and
You
this
planning
is
on
kinda-
doing that there, 60?
And this
I
is
love
cool,
feature
but
creeping everybody else's hardware. Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to say the whole idea behind the CoCo is the SAM. You need that address multiplexing so you can have the video and the CPU on the same RAM. Without that chip, you can't do anything. So a replacement for that chip for any of us experimenters is absolutely good news.
Okay.
We can.
Without that chip, you've got an MC10.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, you have none of the semi-graphics modes except for 4 and 6.
Well, and you can't share RAM between video and CPU without the SAM. And that's the whole idea behind the CoCo, is you're sharing RAM between the video and the CPU. So
A couple comments in the chat here. SAM is in a CPLD, is what 60 is saying. Peter Willis says a SAM likely pure Obtanium now as well, so this is good. And 60 says working well enough still to do is to make it glitch compatible, which you'll still have to explain what exactly that means. and he did say, I did build Stuart Orchard's 256K banker logic into it, but I haven't tested that yet. So the board that Ken did a video on recently, that's a big external thing, is built into that little SAM board to get your CoCo 1.2 or Dragon up to 64 or 256K with additional banks of 32K. You can swap in and out.
And yes, you have to be bug compatible with all the previous chips. So
what bugs are in the SAM? But just out of curiosity.
I don't know, but I'm sure this person does.
Like I know 60's done some really critically timed tests, kind of like Dragonfire does, but he's done stuff for simulating hardware vertical scrolling, etc. So I wonder if that's what he's kind of testing out.
Because nothing does what the data sheet says it does. So having someone that goes and actually does what the chip does is a real bonus.
Yeah, 60 saying it's mostly to have something to build on. And yes, the glitches are important and underlined important because you get hardware scrolling out of it. Okay, actually just what I brought up. So he's done some pretty amazing, little tricks here using hardware smooth scrolling, basically just using SAM timing tricks. And the last story, jumping over to Julian Brown, who's also in the chat, so he can correct me when I'm wrong on all this too. Got all the missing parts in the post, just fitting the last IC and found this boo-boo. IC10 has somehow inherited the wrong footprint. It has 2 more pins than it should.
Oops, there.
Now got to wait for a new board build and to transfer all the ICs across. Gutted. Wish I had done this one first, not last.
Oh.
And of course, his board also has 256K built into it too. So he's doing the Dragon 32, and I think Karen's doing the Dragon 64 replacement motherboards, and they're both already extending stuff with 256K RAM support, etc., which is really cool. Julian in the chat says, ouch. 60 says also, and all the DRAM, dynamic RAM support stuff, and this can be ripped out for SRAM based boards, but best to start from works like the original. I agree. But I do know that Brendan's SAM doubler thing will let you run full double speed, same as a CoCo 3 on a CoCo 1 and 2. So if you want to speed up your CoCo 1 and 2 machine language games by double, you can do that with that too, but it does require the static RAM. Otherwise, your screen goes nuts. And that's it for the news this week. Somebody wake up Mark B.
I'm here. I already had a nap earlier.
And the bed spreads clean, so life is good.
Yeah, let's
Just
see.
a little indentation where he's laying down during the news.
Yeah, well, there's a cat there now.
And there's Bob. So before we end the show here, Bob, how is it going? You figured anything out yet? Are you still swapping chips, or what have you tried?
Got a quick test I'm going to try here. I was checking the lines on the 7.4 LS04. That was one place where it looked like I was getting signals on my board, my good one, that didn't maybe match what's on here. So I'm going to recheck this and see.
Okay, well, while you're getting ready to do that, I'm just going to mention Julian Brown has another comment here. He says, been trying to bodge this one for days. That's one with the 2 extra pins. He said, but it is possibly beyond my bodging capabilities.
Wow, that's really broke. So I was thinking, Bob, so all the video is generated by the gimme itself.
Mm-hmm.
So is it the gimme is not getting the signals? Because you tested the composite out at the gimme, I think I saw, right?
I did. It was basically 5 volts.
So the gimme is not getting programmed.
Possibly. But I can tell you that all the data lines and the address lines look normal as far as I can,
Yeah. You were poking at the 138 earlier. All the signals look good there.
Yeah, I think so. I'm about to do it again.
Okay.
Let's see.
The for the others, the 138 does basically the selects for all the different areas.
Right. The CTS, SES.
That's how the gimme
PIA
says.
1, PIA 2, all of that.
Yeah. That's how the gimme says, I want the ROM or I want the PIA.
My scope is really not cooperating with me here. It's so old and jumpy. I can't keep it properly centered on the ground.
Slap it.
Yeah, well, I have been.
The old RCA kick.
Right on top, you go wham, and then you get glass shattering.
When all else fails, use the hammer.
That's all my hardware solutions.
Is there a similar software tool that you use?
Power off, power back.
Yeah, reboot. If it don't compute, you must reboot.
So you're working off of so you got the pepper board along with just some 5 volts.
Yeah, so I went ahead and converted this just to run off a DC for now for 12 volts.
Nice.
Okay.
Just wanted to eliminate any AC weirdness with the power supply. I'll check this here.
Don't you feel silly if it turns out it's your RF modulator?
Okay, that looks good. Yes.
Right. Well, no, the stupidest thing would be, like one of the gates on this 04 is blown. And so the whole computer is disabled because there's no inverter.
Right here, I'm getting this signal on the input. Can you even see that on the scope?
We
it's
just
high.
We see one line there.
Let's see if I can get it better here.
Yeah, now it's low, but we saw no transition.
Because I think yeah, hold on, let me get rid of the panel here.
Okay.
Yeah, to get rid of all of us.
Okay, so there's a signal.
Oh, okay, there is a, yeah, there is
high, active, low.
And then this is the output for the same thing. So that might be.
That ain't no good.
That's not a good, well.
No.
So we have some goes into, no comes out of.
What's that?
So that one looks right.
Because we can't see the transitions. We can only see the top and bottom.
Okay, so we can see some active low transitions there.
It might be acting weird because of triggering here.
Oh no, we just can't see.
Horizontal shift to find that trigger.
And I'm not sure if that's a input or an output. It's pin 13.
Which chip is it?
No, for LS04.
Okay, so.
Okay, now pin 12 is showing something.
12 would be the input.
And they do look like an inverter. Okay, so that's normal.
So it's falling, descending, falling in, climbing. Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, 12 would be the output, sorry. Because 14 is VCC, 13 would be the input, 12 would be the output, and input, output, input, output on that same side.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't the gimme have composite out? It should just do that. That should be
like on its own.
Right, just at least a border.
Well, if the CPU couldn't read the ROM, and because wouldn't it have to program the?
But you don't even need RAM to get a border in a crashed VDG screen. I'm puzzled.
Unless there's, let me find a better looking schematic here.
Because as far as I know, the gimme is going to crank out some kind of video.
But there's no RGB out also, which comes out of a different section.
Right. But why is there nothing coming out of the gimme? It should run when the rest of the CoCo's dead.
Or does it need to get programmed to even turn on video?
No, it comes right up. I've broken so many CoCo's. I know this one.
So in which case, would there be something?
Well, yeah, why is it quiet? Why is it not?
Yeah, could there be something that's dragging that line up high?
Or
such
that has,
as,
or that it's just stopped the gimme for some reason.
They're all high, red, green, and blue, and composite.
what's pin 39 in the gimme doing?
Let me see. I'll get my.
I know what it should be, but just for grid purposes, what should it be?
Okay, can you tell me how to get to pin 39?
Not a clue.
Yeah, it's the 124th one from the right going.
Try
Jesus, it's hard.
Try R8.
Okay.
Man.
R9 and R10.
Okay, because the R8 should be a 4.7K, and it basically pulls up that pin to 5 volts, but it's test mode, and I'm wondering if it's ground.
Oh, I'm showing high.
Okay, that's what it should be. And the other side is 5 volts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a halt pin or anything? So you got Q and E clock working going into the gimme, right?
Yeah.
And that's R9, R10.
Wait, aren't those generated by the gimme? Or no, that's the
CPU.
So yeah, there's my clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. The gimme would be generating the clock because
Sam
Sam
used to do it.
Yeah. So it's outputting.
That was
we're
the
talking.
Q. That's the E.
U15 pins 11 and 13. Any signal there?
U15. Which chip is that?
7404.
The one you were beating on earlier.
Yeah.
So 13 did have signal.
Uh-oh. Exchange battery.
Uh-oh. Well, that
Bob's
didn't give him much time.
Bob went dark.
Just hardware failures all over the place here.
Right?
So I was looking to see is the H-Sync and V-Sync being generated?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Let me get
Because it should be doing that regardless, unless it needs to be told that it needs to be 50 or 60 hertz.
Ooh.
Yeah, because the ROM would do that, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't the ROM program it? So which means the gimme would have to be at least rudimentarily programmed.
That's another thing. I'm not sure how to tune that capacitor if I need to tune it.
Well, even if it's way out of whack, you still should get
Still do
something.
something. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Picture should be coming back shortly. There we go.
Okay, so 11 and 13 should be generated by the gimme.
So that's 13. There's definitely a signal there.
Okay. And then so 12, of course, is the
11.
invert of that.
Yeah. Kind of hard to see here, but yeah.
Okay. And so those go right to the RGB out on, but the SCART doesn't use those two pins anyway. So only the CMA is using those. Damn, what do we got? Of course, if you hold reset that for a second, nothing comes up, right?
No.
The video doesn't come back. Okay.
Nothing. Sure.
Well, should we check read right? Make sure we got some goes into. Where's the best place to grab that? I guess the processor pin 32.
So let's see, 40, 39. $32 shows high, pulsing.
Okay, so the CPU is trying to talk to something.
Yeah, and it's getting warm. Not hot, but it's you can tell it's doing stuff. All the data lines are dataing.
And that's pins 24 through 31. Okay, so how about U3? Let's try, say, pins 11 and 9. You know what? Let's try, I'm sorry, 18 and 2. That's a better one.
So 2 is pulsing.
Okay, then don't worry about 11. Don't worry about 18 then.
That's 20.
Yeah, so the high side of that chip is the inputs, and the low sides, the pins 2 through 9 are the output. So if you got output, then you're gonna have input too. So
yeah.
pin 1, is it doing anything on that chip?
Pin 1, it is. Hi.
It's a lot of stuff's working.
Okay, so that's the direction of that, which means. Okay, so pin 1 of that chip is tied to pin 32 of the processor. So you had a signal on pin 32, but you don't have it on pin 1?
Pin 1 is high.
Because that's the read-write signal. They're tied together.
.32 is high.
Okay,
they're
so that
both high. Yeah.
okay, so that's read-write. So right now the processor is stuck. Go ahead and hit reset.
It's halted.
Yeah, it halted. But I thought we had a signal there a little bit ago.
So when I reset it, you see that?
Okay.
Same line.
It's talking.
Okay, so now go to pin 1 of the U3. Making sure there's not a break in there in that line somewhere.
Yeah, it's pulsing.
Okay. So something had halted it.
Put my head out of the shot.
Well, it could be some monkey poking around with a logic detector.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Anyone else have an idea? Where to go next?
Turn it off and on.
No video is really concerning to me because to get a border in a plain green screen doesn't really require anything.
Yeah, it's like the gimme is halted itself.
Yeah, it's like nothing, something just.
It's generating a clock, but it's not going anywhere else.
Was the CPU pulled from another board or something new?
I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that it's a good CPU. I just put it in a working color computer, and it's
a good gimme because you tested that.
And it's a good gimme, and the ROM is good.
Gotta try that. I suspect a CoCo gimme will put up a border with no CPU. I have to try that.
So on U9, pins 1, 2, and 3, did they have activity?
Let's see.
That's that 138.
Oh, it's the 138. Okay.
I've got a schematic pulled up.
Pin 1 is pulsing.
Okay.
Pin 2 is pulsing.
Do you have anything else except for watching Bob work on this?
Pin 3 is pulsing.
There was nothing else for the show that I know.
I've got a question. Just regarding the Drivewire 4. I'll just show a picture and of the Drivewire 4, because this is on the Drivewire 4 website, and they show a separate interface. I'll just share the screen. Somewhere, share screen, here we go. I'll just find it.
And then when you get a chance, Bob, pin 6 of the U9. Okay.
That's the Drivewire 4 off the Drivewire 4 webpage. They show in the bottom on the bottom right that UI there for the floppy disks. I've never seen that in the Drivewire 4. How do we get that up? Does anyone know if that actually exists?
It was on CoCoTECH, so it must exist, but I don't know how to.
Well, they didn't talk anything about that. But yeah, on the website, the Drivewire 4 website, that's that's one of the images there. All the other windows are, I do see them in Drivewire 4, but I'm just wondering, how do you get that floppy drive window come up?
What if you hit the floppy disk button there on the upper left?
Upper left.
On the menu. Right underneath the word image.
Oh, no, that's part of the viewer. Yeah, that's the viewing program I've got.
Oh, that's not the.
Yeah, that's not the image itself.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you can add a floppy to Drivewire, of course, but you don't get that interface. You get it's in the background, just behind here. You get all that, but you don't get that floppy drive interface. I just thought, oh, that looks cool. How do I get that up? So no one has seen it.
Is that a question for Mikey?
No, let's play Marco. It was his show.
Oh.
I don't remember if I've seen that before. It's been a long time since I played with Drivewire 4.
Yeah, it was on the show last night, but I didn't, or last week, but I didn't know it was special. So I didn't.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's something to do with the specific drive. You're able to click on like the drive letter over on the main window, and I think it'll come up as like a view of the status. Obviously, it shows you reads and writes and counts and stuff. But
so I can't. I've never seen that come up on my Drivewire 4. So I was wondering, how do we get that up?
Right.
It's probably just not available in Australia.
That's it. The magnetic flux and things, you know.
I have to turn it upside down, do I?
It's because your toilet's flushed backwards, I think.
Okay.
All right. That's all. I was just wondering if someone knew. Okay, I'll stop the share.
Do some research there, Nick, and get back.
No worries.
All right, so to answer your question, pins 4 and 5 are low, pin 6 is high.
Okay, so in the chat, 60 has a suggestion here, or observation. So when he's got a PAL machine. So when he was probing the gimme, the composite was not outputting anything. So of course on a PAL machine, they don't use composite. They take RGB.
It's not connected. It's not connected on a PAL.
So that would imply that the gimme is not going to output composite unless it's told to.
Okay.
No, it's still the same gimme chip as the NTSC, but that pin is not wired up on the PCB.
Yeah, but if you measured it on the socket, he wasn't getting an output.
Maybe not, but that's what he's got there is not a PAL. No, it's not a PAL circuit board, is it?
No, but I look at it as being maybe a confirmation that the gimme doesn't do anything until it's been told to.
No, I think it always throws out composite.
Right.
Okay.
I'm looking at the IRQ lines here, 20 and 21. Let's see, 20 is FIRQ and it's low. 21 is high.
Schematic.
21 is a active low IRQ line.
Did I freaking close? Oh,
of course you did.
Pin 21. Yeah, so you got RQ and FIRQ.
Should they not both be low?
They're both active low, so they should be high unless they're being asserted. And
active.
They're normally pulled up high. Well, with the line above it, it's active low, right? Is somebody trying to say something?
No. These are all just banging along, though.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is going to turn into another.
It's a CoCoTECH.
CoCoTECH show, exactly.
CoCo Nation.
I reckon end the show.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's 4:30 over here anyway. So
we'll come back next week. Bob will still be here with that logic probe going.
All right. So let's do the outro.
This concludes another episode of the CoCo Nation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCo Nation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. CoCo Nation Show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCo Nation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCo Nation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server.
CoCo forever.
Okay, so that's the end of the show. Do you want to keep on, or do we want to move this over to Discord, or
Move it over to Discord, I reckon, or
Yeah,
keep it for a CoCoTECH show or whatever.
I mean, this gearhead's got a piece of meat here. We got to keep chewing on it.
Well, yeah, I suppose you could keep the show.
Yeah, I mean,
running.
I would cut this off for the episode itself, and this could
Yeah.
be like a bonus content thingy.
Yeah, there's no need to record this part, but just whoever
Well,
wants
if it's
to
streaming,
stay
it's
on.
recording anyway, right? So
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
All right.
automatic.
Well,
But you
go
can
ahead.
split it apart after the fact if Bob figures out what's going on. Be a nice little
Yeah.
bonus tech episode or something.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and stop the stream then.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for watching.